Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024. Can you even believe it? It has been a whole calendar year together. This is the end of the calendar year, not the end of the astrological year, but here we are. And I do like the vibration as we are rolling into December. November was very much so, I feel like, the last bits of seeing what you have to work with and whether or not you could move some things forward with it. It wasn't as stressful as I think as some of our other months in 2024 have been. And as we're here in December, there's just a bit of delay, but there's also a really beautiful vibration of really setting new intentions, because this is a month where we also have 3 moons, 2 of them being new moons. So this is a delicious month, which hands us the signature out of the gate that this fresh start, these intentions of the new beginnings coming with that sense of adventure, but also that Saturnian energy to have the discipline to get it done is very much so in our favor. So we have a beautiful month to cover. I look forward to breaking that down with you. Now, if you are new to these videos or you're just not used to being here, hello and welcome. It's really nice to have you here. You will be able to find timestamps in the description box down below for each and every sign. So make sure you click in the description box down below and take advantage of the timestamps if you want to go listen to your sun, your moon, or your rising, okay? Now, before we jump in, a couple things to let you know about here in December. So hopefully you're watching this before December. We are going to be starting the Astrology 102 course that is going to be happening at my school, GAFA, the Grace Astrological Fluency Academy, where we help you become fluent in the language of astrology. So I would love to have you. 102 is all about bringing those transits in, and it is all about interpretation. So you get a lot of practice, and the groups have been fantastic. So if you are ready to jump in, you're ready to advance your transit work, your astrological work with transits and bringing it together with the chart interpretation, I would love to see you in there. If you're newer to astrology, please jump in, grab my 101 class. It's available for you right now, and I have left it on sale as we finish the year. So go ahead, jump in and grab it. That's in the description box down below as well. And as we are getting ready for 2025, make sure you have your digital transit calendar from our friends at Wise Skies Collective. It comes right to your phone. It's the most beautiful thing. You can see what's going on in the sky and keep up and continue to grow your astrological fluency and knowledge about what is going on, what happens for you when the moon is void, of course, what happens when the moon's in Sagittarius every month, what is happening for you, because the best astrology is your astrology, okay? All of that is in the description box down below. Now let's jump in and talk about what December is holding for us, because what a beautiful month we have at our fingertips. So first of all, to kind of lay the groundwork here, as we're coming into December, we're coming in with Mercury in a retrograde. We saw Mercury go retrograde back in November. So we're coming in with Mercury, our planet of the mind, thinking, decision-making. It's retrograde. So we are coming in mentally in a space of reviewing, and how cool at the end of the calendar year to be in a retrograde, because we have a chance to review our entire year, right? And to say, where have I encountered challenges? Where have I encountered growth? Where have I got new information that is already coming in for me, and I am in review of how to apply that. In addition, as we're going to be traveling this month, like I said, we've got this blessing of these 2 new moons, and they're happening in 2 different signs. So we've got this new moon happening in Sagittarius, and this opens up the wonder. It opens up the willingness to travel, to go on the journey. Let the journey of new knowledge, of adventure, of travel, even be something that we're excited about. And then we have the next new moon happening to close out our month in Capricorn. And this takes that visionary Sagittarian energy that we have, and it grounds it. It puts determination behind it for us to have the consistency and the stability to explore what it is we have learned. So it's really a potent month where we're going to see that there are big changes available if you plant your seeds of intention, okay? Now, starting out the month right here on the 1st, we are going to see that we've got this new moon happening in Sagittarius. So the new moon, the sky is dark. Okay, the sky is dark. So you're planting your seeds of intention to begin something new, or to bring a new cycle to your attention and to your reality, but we're doing it in the dark. So you're hoping with great wonder what you plant here in the Sagittarian area of your chart is going to bloom into this really delicious fruit. Now, as we are experiencing this particular new moon, Mercury is retrograde. So we are continuing all the way until the mid-month 9-month point where even at this new moon, we have this sense of I'm beginning something new. I'm beginning this new powerful time of the journey, but I'm doing it by looking back at where I have been already, right? I am looking back and I have new information that's likely come to the table. And here's what I love about the new information that's come to the table is that it allows us to explore our own uncharted territory. Now, whether that's the uncharted territory of the new world that we're living in, new systems, new communities, new cycles, but also physically and intellectually, I think that this gives us an opportunity to go within ourselves, to plant our seeds of intention, to say, I want to connect to my own learning in my own uncharted territories. I want to connect to travel. And travel is a very big word here in 2024, right? Because you can physically get on that plane and you can travel, or you can get in the planes, trains, and automobiles, but also we can travel by bringing information from foreign lands right into our hands, right into our phones, into our YouTube spaces. There is just this space where we're calling in at this new moon a truth and a willingness to explore our own truths, to come to a higher knowledge of what is really real for us. So plant your seeds of intention right here as we are starting out the month, realizing that Mercury is looking back. So it's very clear on where you've been. So it's helping you be clearer on where you want to go. Now, as we come to the 6th, we're going to see that Mars is going to officially and finally step into that retrograde in Leo. If you haven't watched my video that I did with Nicholas Palamanakis, where we talked about the Mars in Cancer and in Leo journey, including this retrograde, I'll put it at the end of this video so that you can check it out, because this has been a very, very long story and it's not going to be over until we cross into February of 2025. As a matter of fact, when we look at the timing of this Mars retrograde, we saw that Mars actually moved into its pre-retrograde shadow time, October 4th of 2024, and this was at 17 degrees of Cancer. So as we're going to experience this retrograde, what you want to do is grab your chart and make sure you're start looking at 17 degrees of Cancer all the way to 6 degrees of Leo, okay? And look at which houses is this activating for you so that you can really get a sense of where this retrograde is going to pull your attention, because a Mars retrograde is no joke. It's a personal planet. It's close to us. So we very intensely feel where we have to do this reassessment of how we're currently doing things. It doesn't make it bad, but it means that it is in our attention. So we'll experience the Mars retrograde here as we are traveling on the 6th. And what this is going to do is, first of all, in that fiery energy of Leo, bringing our attention here, it's going to give us the signature of energy to review our desires for our courage, for how we express ourselves, how we take the courage to express ourselves. It's going to give us courage to relook over what is my creativity? How do I express pleasure and play and creativity in my own life? Not to mention, the other thing that it does is, we're thinking about this at the beginning of the month, is if you have Mars direct in your chart, the Mars retrograde can slow your energy. It's like it pumps the brakes just a little bit. It's like, hey, hold on. You're moving too fast. Let's slow down a bit. Smell the roses. Now, if you have Mars retrograde in your chart, this Mars retrograde period will still be a reflection for you, but you may feel like you have a lot more energy to move in an outward way. So make sure you check your chart and see if you have Mars retrograde or Mars direct in both your natal chart, and make sure you check your progress chart as well if you're there. The other thing we want to look at during this Mars retrograde is, how do you stand out, right? Like, what makes me stand out, and is that genuine? Is that really who I am? Is that really my own expression, or am I doing something and I'm standing out and I'm holding my own space in the world, being my authentic self, but it's with someone else's vision? So we'll have an opportunity to look at that. And as Mars has traveled through this Cancerian energy, we really got a lot more clarity on why and how we were emotionally driven to do things. Where am I really getting my security from? What's really nurturing me, especially emotionally? And now during this retrograde, it starts in Leo, but it will back up into that Cancerian terrain as well. So it's going to be a really powerful period for realigning where your personal power comes from, what is genuine, and you'll know that it's genuine because emotionally it will sit right with you as well. Now on the 7th, we are going to see that Venus moves into the vibration of Aquarius, and as Venus shifts into rebellion rebellious. I don't necessarily love the word rebellious, but it is the one that continues to come up. And I want to say, not just rebellion, but revelation, right? Like it moves into the space of Aquarius where we have rebellion and revelation that is happening at the same time. So it brings this fresh breath of air to our Venus energy, how we value things, how we attract things to us, because Venus is not the hustler energy. Venus is the come to me. I will create containers. I will create a vibe so that it can come right to me. But as Venus comes into Aquarius, which is not only a double sign, one that's breaking us out of the box a bit, but it's also an air sign. So here, mentally, we get an opportunity to have a little bit of detachment from what we have valued before so that we can innovate it, right? I can come at this from a different perspective. I value my individuality actually now so that I can see how it adds to the whole, which what a beautiful thing. We've got Mars over in Leo, which is the opposite energy of Aquarius. And there is this talk about who and what is me, and it adds to the whole, and how has what is the whole added to me and shaped me and helped me or made me, a cookie cutter of what else is around me. So we'll ask these questions. So as Venus is here, there's going to be a lot of value placed on the value of our own individual opinions. What we believe brings us freedom, what allows us to be creative, but also serve humanity as well, in creating vibrations and containers and groupings and being aligned with groupings of people or systems that feed that for us as well. So it can be quite inspirational. Don't be surprised if you have really interesting people or interesting scenarios coming your way as Venus is pulling in, because Venus is going to, your vibe's going to attract your tribe, whatever that happens to look like, okay? Now, also on the 7th, we have Neptune coming direct, okay? Now, as Neptune is coming direct, we have an opportunity to revisit where we've been. So first of all, again, you want to check out if you have Neptune retrograde in your chart. The Neptune retrograde season maybe felt a little bit more comfortable to you, and Neptune as an outer planet, sometimes it's very, very subtle. It's like it's going on in and out below the scenes all of the time. But if you've had Neptune retrograde in your chart, it may have been a season where your ideas were needing to come out more and more and more. So if we look all the way back to March 11th, this is when Neptune actually entered into its pre-retrograde shadow time, and that was right there at 27 degrees of Pisces. So, what started to happen? What started to come up for you? Where was it like, things started to become a little bit more concrete. You weren't able to get away with as much, right? You couldn't justify as much, these kinds of things. And for the Neptune retrograde natally people, you maybe had to move outwardly more. You had to take more action. And certainly by the time we got to July 2nd and Neptune actually went into retrograde, you were having to really demonstrate your ideas and ideals in an outward way. And you would have really been put in a place where it was like, no, you can't just sit and spend all this time inside, right? You have to move outside. Now, for the people who do not have Neptune retrograde in their chart, the Neptune retrograde would have been sending you back inside, where it's like, hold on, we have to relook at that. We have to look at if that is illusion or if that is real. You have this idea or this ideal you've been living in a very outward way, but doesn't match what's actually inside. What are your new hope? What are your new faiths? What are your new dreams that you're working with? What's the new ideal that you want to create? Because with Neptune, we create it in the space where it can't be seen yet. It's not tangible. And then we're able to bring it into a tangible reality and begin to live it. So we're shaping a world, we're shaping an ideals, we're shaping a belief system. And then as Neptune's out of retrograde, we're going to go out and live that thing. So as Neptune comes direct here on the 7th, it's again at that 27 degrees of Pisces. What are your ideas and ideals now that were reshaped for you internally or externally? What dreams did you create for yourself that now they're going to start to emerge and we get to watch them? Like the structure and the idea has been good, but now it's going to really see if that idea or that ideal can meet the road. And keeping in mind, bearing in mind that as we come to 2025, Neptune is also going to push forward into Aries. So who you believe that you're saying that you want to be, the life you believe that you're saying is your ideal, you're going to have an opportunity to go get that as we're in 2025. Okay, when we get to the 15th, now we've got the full moon happening in Gemini, and this is going to be at 23 degrees of Gemini, so mark that on your chart. The full moon is going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. We have to pivot. But I don't want you to forget as well that at the full moon, we need to take a moment to celebrate, because it means that over the period, over like a year and a half, we've also built something. We've achieved something. All the lights are on. What have you done? What have you experienced? What kind of information have you gathered? Intellectually, where have you grown? Where do you have new knowledge that you are giving, that you are sharing with other people? And you can say, I've got this new network, even a new network that's neurally stimulated, or a new network of people that are in my life. And where have you found that you have this space where your thoughts, what I think, and my expression are more in balance, right? This is a great time to also celebrate before we pivot. But then we do need to pivot because some things don't need to come with us anymore. So at this time, as we're looking at it too, the full moon bringing that real emotional honesty of some of these answers is the same day that Mercury is stationing direct. So there's this kind of, I would consider this a double dose of clarity that becomes relevant to us as we're here in the middle of the month. Now, the full moon and Mercury coming direct, it's a potent day. I wouldn't be making the biggest decisions of my life if it could be avoided on this day. And I don't think that it's that you just get up and you pop through the clouds and there's full clarity. But as the days are going on, it's like we've had this period of life lived plus introspection. And now this transit opens the door for, first of all, smoother interactions with one another, because no one's exempt for the Mercury retrograde, but also forward movement in our projects, in our dreams, and our ideals, and our visions, and our communications, and any personal goals that we wanted to shape and live out. This is a really beautiful energy. Now, when we get to the 21st, we're going to say happy birthday to our Capricorn friends as we bring in Capricorn season. It means we're also going to bring in the winter solstice in the north, and we're going to bring in the summer solstice in the south. So happy new season, happy solstice time, because as the sun moves into Capricorn and we enter into that winter solstice time, first of all, you know, it's the darkest day of the year, but dark is not equivalent to bad. It's not the equivalent to bad. If there were no dark, we'd never see the stars. If there were no dark, we wouldn't know what light is, right? So instead, I think that where we can really make a delicious amount of space in the solstice time is to honor our reflection, honor the reflective times that we're going into, especially in that winter capacity. Honor the Capricorn energy where we find where we root to rise. Where do we root into to gain our strengths, right? There's a lot of strength that Capricorn season can bring to our attention as Capricorn is focused on responsibility, structure, discipline, long-term planning. This is the time of our season where, yes, we have to deal with the government and get ready for taxes and insurance and governmental things and all of that. But it's also a time personally where we get to step in and go, I'm the CEO of the life that I'm living. What are my ambitions? Where am I in my budgeting? Where am I in my health? Like, it's a real nice take stock, practical earth sign kind of energy, and we make a start on it for our solstice time. Now, with that grounding energy of Capricorn too, right? Especially if you don't have a lot of earth in your chart or something like that, this can be a season where you actually feel really very well supported in building a new foundation for yourself going forward. So I really would love that for you. On the 29th, we see Chiron coming direct in the vibration of Aries. Now, Chiron being the wounded healer and the place that is our greatest teacher as well, because I can teach from a wound that I know very well because I know it. It's like I can match your pain, and it's even better if I've had a bit of solution so I can help you not suffer anymore. But Chiron in Aries has been so much about the healing journey of our own identities, and the world is so different today. It is so different today. So this has been, you know, a retrograde period that I think as it's coming to an end, we get to go, I am moving more fully in my new identity, which was maybe my identity all the time, and I got a bit removed for it, or I was afraid to stand up for it, or I was afraid to be in it. And certainly, I think that at the end of this retrograde period, we get to go, some of these wounds around the identity that I've had, they've done some healing because they're deep. Chiron's not representing, that paper cut. Chiron is representing where I have been stabbed down to the white meat of beliefs around my identity of being myself, my self-worth. What am I allowed to charge? What am I allowed to set up boundaries in my relationships and have people respect them? Who am I allowed to be? Who am I? Right? These are very big questions that I think that the Chiron retrograde has given us an opportunity to do that healing work, take that healing journey. So now as Chiron is moving forward, we can see that, first of all, the ruling planet of Aries, Mars, is in retrograde. So we have some questions about our actions that we're taking nice and slow. But we're acting on all of the insights that we've gained on the wound and the new identity nice and slowly, right? We're applying ourselves and allowing ourselves to embrace what it feels like to move as this different versions of ourselves, but head up, shoulders back. Aries does not move like it's wounded, right? Like Aries is the I get to live, damn it, and everybody better get on board. So I think that we have an opportunity to demonstrate nice and slowly, they say in Korean, chonchone, nice and slowly, our new identity and the strength of that identity as well. Now, Chiron's direct is a time where I would say the real power in it that I would offer you or invite you to take with you is the reminder that healing is really both an individual journey, but as the individual heals, it is a collective journey as well. So there are some portions of the identity work we've been doing that we simply could have never done until the timing was right. And now the timing is right. As we are going to close out the month on the 30th, we've got another new moon, and this one is happening in Capricorn. Man, 3 moons this month. We've got some emotions going on, have we not? Now, this being the second new moon of the month, first of all, again, we want to plant our seeds of intention. And as we're planting our seeds of intention in the structured, grounded Capricorn vibration that we've got going here, it's the space where I think we plant our seeds of intention from that new moon that happened in Sagittarius, which is very idealistic, and the fire and the energy and the willing to transition to have that is there. But here at the second new moon is where we turn it into something actionable. Capricorn is going to be like, okay, here's the actions we need to take to make that dream and to make that vision come to be. And it's also probably the time where we start to set up those goals, right? At the new moon, we're just planting our seeds of intention, but how will you know that your dreams are coming true if there's no goal points for you to check in and say, oh, okay, we've reached this milestone? And that's where Capricorn can be particularly useful. It says, okay, in 3 to 6 months, we want to have check, check, check done. And if we've done those things, A+. And so it's something very practical that keeps you on track. And it also is something that we'll call commitment and call discipline to sticking to the course in order to make the dream a reality. So it provides an opportunity at this new moon to not only plant your seeds of intention for your structures, to find where you root, put down new roots so that you can rise well, but an opportunity to set realistic goals that you can meet and planning phases that allow you to see where you're making progress all through the year ahead. So think of this energy as the gift of like persistence, planning, and resilience, all right? Okay, my absolutely beautiful friends, December is a month where I think that the astrology, of course, continues to encourage us to embrace a lot of introspection, but expansion as well, and the slow movement of action that it may take to bring that expansion into place. But it is here. It is here. The new idea, the new identity, and the action in equal measure are available to us this month. So let's take advantage of that. All right, beautiful friends, click in the description box down below to head over to your particular sign. Enjoy December. I look forward to seeing you in the classes and our sessions and everywhere else. Bye, everyone. Hello, my beautiful Aries friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024. We're Aries this month. We want to keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde as we're coming into the month, and that can bring a bit of challenge to communication, to the thinking space, to decisions that need to be made, especially as it's traveling through Sagittarius, where you might have wanted to make a bigger decision or something like that, and you're not able to do it just yet. But instead, what the Mercury retrograde is doing is giving you an opportunity to find new truths and new approaches to something that you do want to take on. So I want you to know that we've got that in our favor as we're coming into the month. As well, your ruling planet, Mars, is going to spend the month really in your fifth house. So this is a month of a lot of creativity, a lot of creativity. So it's also what we like to call your pleasure peak of the year. So make sure that you take advantage of this beautiful energy to create, to come back to your music, to come back to your playfulness. And in the fifth house space, we're also going to look at how much your children's lives are impacted this month as well. So let's jump in, Aries, and let's take a look around what we've got. Right at the beginning of the month, as we're coming in on the 1st, we've got a new moon happening in Sagittarius. Now, this particular new moon is going to, first of all, because it's a new moon, it's really closely in alignment with fresh starts. You're planting your seeds of intention to begin something new, and this is going to be lighting up your 9th house space. So in that 9th house space, the new moon is going to invite you to set these really big Sagittarian intentions, and it's all around higher learning, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, travel, especially international travel, legal things, your spiritual beliefs or philosophies that have grounded you, and now you're wanting to reset them. So the new moon here is a pretty powerful time for you to make some kind of commitment to this higher level of expansion. So maybe it's an educational goal that you have, or you're planning some kind of really big transformational journey or something like that. What I would encourage you to do here to really align with this energy is to think really expansively about what you do want to learn and what you do want to experience. Write it down. Write down your new travel goals. Write down your new study goals. What spiritual exploration are you on? Now, the other thing I want you to keep in mind is that, of course, because of Mercury being retrograde, you are writing them down. But it's better to review the goals that you have, right? Like put them down on paper and then have a review. You don't need to jump out there and go do them and start them right now. Or the goals that you have, especially as we catch you here at the end of the calendar year, do they need a revision? If you take this time to have more of the reflection using the retrograde in your favor, I think that by the time we get to the new moon at the end of the month, it's much more in your favor to be able to really take some delicious action, okay? Now, when we get to the 6th of the month, we're going to see Mars, your ruling planet, head into retrograde in the vibration of Leo. So this is right here in that 5th house space where we've had that 5th house exploration going on. So we're coming in, we've got that creativity that is just really been in your face, been in your experience. And now as Mars stations for its retrograde here on the 6th, it's going to, first of all, be lasting. We're going to feel this vibration all the way until February 23rd. And if you haven't watched the video that I did with Nicholas Palamanakis, where we talked about Mars traveling through Cancer, but we also included Leo and the Mars retrograde as well, because it's a story that's been going on for quite some time between your 5th house and your 4th house. And now you're going to be in this position where you're going to be in a review of it. And the review here, really with Mars retrograde, has a lot more to do with you re-looking at your actions, the actions that you're taking, how you're getting things done, the way that you are, you're reflecting on your approach to your own creativity, your own self-expression, romance. It's a great time as we begin the Mars retrograde for you to have this reassessment of what does bring you joy. How are you expressing yourself genuinely and creatively? Again, it's going to pull in this 5th house space. So it's also it's also asking you to look at what is going on with your children or in the area of children for you as well. So, one of the things I can say here, Aries, is truly, first of all, this starts to pump the brakes. So you're not able to move as quickly, as efficiently. Maybe you don't feel as sure and decisive as decisions that you need to make. And sometimes Aries can struggle with that. But what I can tell you too is to watch your attitude this month, right? Think before you leap, okay? A little bit of just reflection on what you're doing before you do it is going to save you. Savings that you can feel, I promise you. Now, as we're considering how the retrograde is going to play out and we're looking at that cycle, again, we're going to be in it, Aries, until February. But really, when we look back and we track for pattern tracking sake, we saw that Mars entered into its pre-retrograde shadow time on October 4th at 17 degrees of Cancer. So we're going to see this retrograde go from that 6 degrees of Leo back to that 7 degrees of Cancer. And we'll see Mars come direct February 23rd, and it will fully leave the retrograde cycle in its post-retrograde shadow time, May 2nd of 2025. So you have got some time to go on ahead and make this assessment of what it is that you're doing, okay? All right, when we get to the 7th, we're going to see Venus move into the vibration of Aquarius. And I actually really like this because Venus in Aquarius, just in general, although it lights up your 11th house space, it's just a social energy as well. So as Venus is traveling here through your 11th house of friends, social groupings, social matters, causes that you're aligning to, first of all, Venus here is calling in a lot of harmony. It's bringing harmony to the friendships, to the friendship groups. Maybe there's a group project you were working on in some way. It also fosters calling in new connections of people that are a lot more like-minded, right? People who are in alignment with the values and the ideas that you carry. And I think for many people as well, because Venus has such a value placement, it can be opening doors for you to different kinds of collaborations that you might not have engaged before. So I would really encourage you to align yourself by embracing the individuality that you found about yourself. What's true for you right now, Aries? You know, embrace your individuality in the groups that you're in and support other people in doing that as well. Support your individuality in your friendships. Celebrate people being on unique paths. You know, I've been saying the entire year, it's a great time to lovingly welcome people away from you that are not traveling the same path. And also, Aries, it's a great time to consider where you need to rejoin, put yourself in the vicinity of a community that has the same ideas and ideals as you, because that's really going to support you. Now, on the same day, we see Neptune coming direct in the vibration of Pisces, and this is lighting up, of course, that Pisces area for you. Aries lights up the 12th house space. So the things that are behind the scenes. Now, we did see Neptune station retrograde, on July 2nd at 29 degrees of Pisces. So we've been traveling between the 27th and the 29th degree of Pisces. Now, this is a potent degree, first of all, right, as we have Neptune retrograde here. So it is an energy of advancement, of deep acknowledgement, but also as of endings, okay? Because as Neptune comes direct here, it's first of all going to, I think, give you an enhancement of not only your long-term goals, but your spiritual belief in being able to fulfill your long-term goals. And I think it's a great energy as Neptune is direct and traveling forward now, or beginning its travel forward, to use your energy to reconnect with your own vision and your own ideals for your future. You know, use this time to tap into your intuition, true intuition, to reassess what are your dreams and ideals. Envision the community, envision the goals, envision the future that you want to participate in cultivating for yourself. That's a great use of this particular energy. Okay, on the 15th, we first of all got a full moon happening at 23 degrees of Gemini, and we're also going to see that Mercury comes direct. So it's definitely a busy day, and sometimes the days leading up to it can be a little bit busy as well, but certainly Mercury stationing direct is going to put us in a little bit of a position that it's like, whoa, hold on, no big decisions today, okay? So this is going to be a time of full mooning for ending, acknowledging, or adjusting something. You know, wrap things up, have that final conversation, Gemini, send that final email, sign that final contract before we're, before we are fully out of the retrograde time. So whatever you need to do to kind of bring conversation to a close or to a pivot, this is going to be the ideal time to do that and to bring your attention to that. Now, like I said, the full moon is happening, but it's happening for you in that Gemini space, Aries. This is going to light up your third house area. So as you're experiencing this particular full moon in that third house area, what I want to encourage you is a couple things. Bring the conclusion to the projects, to the conversations. But also, if there's something that you needed to finalize around something that you are learning, a class that you're taking, a decision you needed to make to take a class or not, I would do that. But it's also a great time with siblings. You can gain some kind of closure around siblings, or maybe even close cousins, neighbors, something like that. If there's been something going on, this is a time where it's like, okay, there's closure here. And I do think that the Mercury stationing to its direct position is going to do nothing but actually help to bring more clarity to the conversations and decisions that need to be made, okay? Now, as we get to the 21st, we've got a couple things going. First of all, the sun is, of course, going to move into Capricorn, which means that we officially in the Northern Hemisphere are kicking off winter. We're all coming into a solstice. It just depends on where you live, which one you're coming into. But in the Northern Hemisphere, it's officially winter. Welcome. Happy birthday, Capricorn area of your chart. So first of all, let's make sure we're getting ready for the new season, right? Do you have your winter wear available? Are you prepared? Gather your paperwork that you need to do at the end of the year for your taxes, for insurance that needs to be handled. Bring those things in, because as we're nestling into a bit of hibernation here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's going to be a time where you're emphasizing getting organized, making sure that you have everything together to file your government paperwork, but also to look at your career, to look at your work, to look at what you need to do to continue to build a strong foundation in your career, in your name, in your reputation. But it's also going to be done in a very Capricorn fashion, because Capricorn encourages us to grow in a steady, well-disciplined fashion and make progress with discipline. So if I were to hand you a tip to, I think, really align with this energy as it's coming through, set your ambitions. Set your ambitions. What are your ambitions for your career, for your name, for your reputation in public, for your marriage, for your relationship, for the title we call you in public? Set your ambition, and just know that Capricorn is going to help you keep it realistic so that you can realistically get to that career goal, life goal. Focus on long-term things during this season, long-term success, long-term stability, especially in the areas of your professional life, and what decisions need to be made. Where do you need to align? Have you decided you want to take a different direction with your career, and you need to align with people that are going in that direction? That can be a part of your long-term success planning, and it means you have to shed and let go of. In the wintertime, we let go of the people, places, and things that aren't in alignment with taking us where the long-term stability is going to be. What are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your finances? What are you doing with your areas of wealth? Surround yourself in the elements and the people who can help you get there, okay? Now, as we get to the 29th, we're going to see that Chiron comes direct right here in the vibration of Aries. And of course, this is lighting up your first house space. So you've been doing a lot of the Chiron work, a lot of re-looking over the identity, right? Because as Chiron comes direct here in the first house, first of all, Aries, for you, it is a signal of a shift forward in your own personal healing journey. Something about your identity is healed. You have done it, because during the retrograde, you've likely faced the challenges around your self-worth, around those identity wounds. But now you have the opportunity to integrate those lessons, move forward with a greater sense of self-acceptance and confidence and courage and assertiveness, not standing in between, on the fence, making some decisions and feeling good that you're making the decisions with the best of yourself. So this is really a period where I tell you, as Chiron comes direct, to embrace what you've seen. Embrace the unique aspects of yourself that you've learned about. Embody that wisdom that you gained from all your past struggles. You saw the things during the retrograde, your past that even comes from childhood. Embrace it. right? It all tells a big, beautiful story of who this gorgeous Aries energy is today. So I would really encourage you to just get your fingers ushy-gushy in that, okay, Aries? All right, as we're going to close out the month with our third moon for the month. This is a very lunar month, but 2 new moons give us the signature of a fresh start. So as we're going to experience this new moon happening in Capricorn, this is going to light up that 10th house space for you. Now, we had the sun beaming, shining, living its best life, bringing our attention to that area where you're really getting organized, you're finding your seat of power. And now as we've got this last new moon happening over here, it is the ideal time for setting your intentions for practical goals to achieve what you want in your career and your title. And again, focus on long term. This needs to bring long term. It needs to be an asset coming into your life, not a liability. It needs to bring stability and it needs to bring growth. So commit here at this particular new moon. Think about everything that you saw at that new moon at the beginning of the month. You were reviewing it, revising it, and now you're ready to commit to a disciplined set of efforts to help you in achieving these career or professional or reputation milestones. And I think this is a great time as well to create the strategic plan that is going to help you further your career or the direction that this ambition is taking you in. Create the strategic plan. Actually get pen to paper and create something beautiful and solid for yourself. And then take that new beautiful identity of yours and step up with your chest lifted to the sky, heart lifted to the sky, shoulders back, saying, I'm an Aries and I deserve to be here, damn it. I have learned what I need to learn, and now I see fully what I have to offer. All right, my beautiful Aries friends, I hope you have a gorgeous month. Make sure you share with me in the comment section down below how it's going, and get ready to check out your 2025 horoscopes that are coming to you from 5 beautiful astrologers laying out every area of life for you for 2025. I love you. Thank you for our travel together, and I will see you in 2025, Aries. Absolutely beautiful Taurus friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, the final month in the calendar year. And Taurus, we're coming in a little bit slower and a little bit feeling like the energy is reversed, but reverse does not mean bad. So I just want to say that the first thing I want you to keep in mind as we're coming in is that Venus, your ruling planet, is still out of bounds until the 8th of this month. So it means that for you, especially in terms of your natural personal energy, but also in terms of things that have to do with your health or your daily routines, these things you are maybe still moving out of bounds. You're outside of your normal zone of operation, and that's okay. So you're going to be pushing some boundaries a little bit, but you're doing it nice and slow, which is the preferred Taurus way. Now, in addition to that, we are also going to see that Mercury is still retrograde until the 15th. So there's just a signature as we're coming in at the beginning of the month that we're coming in a little bit more slowly. The energy might be a bit, if it can not feel, it's not going to feel stagnant, Taurus. That's not going to be the energy, but it does feel slower. And then things will start to progress a bit from there. And then we'll welcome in the Mars retrograde. So just to give you an idea though, that personally, as you're coming into December, if things are feeling a little bit lower and a little bit slower, that is okay, not to worry. Okay. Now, as we're going to begin the month, we're coming in with a new moon that's going to be happening in the vibration of Sagittarius, lighting up your 8th house space. Now, this new moon is going to open a door for you for not only new beginnings, but new beginnings in shared resources, intimacy, intimate connections, your own personal transformation, death, debt, taxes, detox. You're putting those things, you're setting the cycle in motion to begin it, right? Because Sagittarius energy, first of all, is going to encourage you to think quite expansively about this area of your life, those shared finances, your level of trust with people, the deeper bonds and intimate bonds you want to form. So where you have an opportunity to use this is to set your intentions around having financial freedom, clean out that death, debt, and taxes, right? Let it go. Finances, get those in order. Emotional healing. How much emotional healing has 2024 brought to your table, and you want to continue to expand that? Or maybe even it's exploring new depths in your closest relationships where you're like, okay, I'm ready to take this just a little bit further, right? So my tip for you here is going to be to try and approach this particular new moon in a couple ways. First of all, approach it in a sense of transformation. You know, your transformation is not just like, oh, change and get better. This is an adventure, Taurus. Go on your adventure. Dive into your self-reflection. Dive into that therapy. Dive into the means of uncovering those hidden aspects of yourself or the hidden aspects of even what you have to offer to your financial life. The one thing I do want you to keep in mind is that, yes, of course, Mercury is retrograde at this particular time. And so being at this particular time, what you're going to have to remember is that you're not going to be able to just push it forward. But the final new moon that happens at the end of this month is a time where I think you can see these things coming a lot more to fruition, okay? But the 8th house is powerful for you this month. So do all the detox that you need to get done. Now, as we get to the 6th, we're going to see that Mars is going to take its retrograde, okay? Mars is going to station retrograde, and this transit is going to actually take us all the way until February. Really, the end of it ends out in May. So if you have not already watched my video that I did with Nicholas Palamanakis, where we talked about Mars in Cancer, including Mars traveling through Leo as well, and the retrograde, I would encourage you to check that out, and I'll put it at the end of this video. But for you, this is going to be lighting up your 4th house space. So home, family, real estate, property, okay? Mars is retrograde here is going to encourage you to really reflect on your family dynamics. What is going on in your family? Take a step back from conflict or the places that you feel like there's tension or conflict and just reconsider your approach. Mars is going to ask you to reconsider your approach. What do you do to maintain peace, but also make sure there's enough space for everyone to have their fullest expression and self-expression and play and joy? Leo wants the play, wants the joy. Where do you need to consider what leadership is, right? Leo is fire in your own home. So this is going to be an opportunity for you to, one, pump the brakes because action slows down a little bit so that you can get your action and your desires and how you meet those desires through action in alignment. Watch your attitude, watch your anger. At this particular point of the month, it's going to be really, really helpful for you all the way until February. There's one other thing I just want to say about that. Mars in the 4th can also bring renovation to a home. So if you were thinking about renovating or buying a property and now you need to renovate it or something like that, or you need to renovate the space of like a parent or a parental figure, something like that, that could be on the table. Again, you're going to want to practice a fair amount of patience. Okay, on the 7th, we are going to see that Venus moves into the vibration of Aquarius. So as we see Venus move into the vibration of Aquarius, this is going to light up the 10th house space for you. So this is the top of your chart, looking at all things that have to do with career. So as Venus is traveling in the 10th, we have an opportunity here where, first of all, she's just out of bounds for one more day, not quite there. So in your career sector, you might be able to call into you. Venus calls in, doesn't hustle for a space where people are coming, they want to work with you, or they want to offer you job opportunities from really outside of your normal sphere kind of places. So this is going to be a really interesting time and a really interesting dynamic. Now, we'll also see Venus traveling with Pluto at this time. So I do think for some of you, even though this is 10th house, this could be an opportunity for some romance in some way, right? Or you fall in love with a career or the way you do your career path in a certain way, and it's coming to you in a way that has been really foreign, but now you're moving outside of it, you're innovating in some way. So look for something a little bit different to be coming to the table. Now, on the same day, we are going to see that Neptune is coming direct, and Neptune's direct in Pisces is lighting up your 11th house space. So Neptune's direct here, this is enhanced clarity for you, right? But it's going to be about long-term things, long-term goals, long-term visions, especially around the groups or the groupings, friendships, organizations that you are connected with, Taurus. So we really want you to use this direct energy to not only bring that clarity, but to reconnect with your vision for the future, right? Like use your intuition to reassess what your ideals are. Trust your intuition to envision the kind of community you would like to keep, re-envision the kind of community and friend you would like to be, and look at how you can set goals to cultivate that and put yourself in positions where you're going to be with like-minded people who want to travel the same way that you want to travel, and they want to bring about the same ideals. That's going to be really important at this time. Okay, on the 15th, we've got a full moon happening, and it's going to be at 23 degrees of Gemini. Now, this particular full moon is lighting up your second house space. So first of all, the full moon just asks us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, right? Now, this particular place of pivot is going to ask you to reconsider what's happening in your finances. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had around finances or something like that. Maybe you're bringing contracts to a completion and now you're getting paid for it, or you need to make a financial decision. You need to finalize or release what is no longer serving you financially. Now, the same day, we're going to see Mercury come direct. And I think Mercury stationing direct here actually, again, restores a fair amount of clarity, especially around money matters, right? So it makes it a really favorable time for you going forward to make some financial plans and know that you are sharp, like new information has come to the table and you are sharp and feeling capable of making that decision. On the 21st, we see the sun entering into the vibration of Capricorn, so bringing about a solstice. I just say a solstice, Taurus, because if you're one of our Tauruses that are here in the northern hemisphere, of course, we're going to be having winter. But if you're one of our friends who is in the south, you're rolling into summer. So whichever solstice it's bringing to you, I'm just sending you a lot of love and happy solstice energy, okay? But here the sun burns its way into your 9th house space, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, and it's really a beautiful time. Well, first of all, it really does favor travel or buying those travel tickets, whatever thing you need to do. But it's also Capricorn, right? It's the time of year where you are bringing more focus and more discipline to your educational beliefs, your belief systems, your philosophies that guide your life. It's going to encourage you to get some kind of structured approach to something you're studying or teaching, to settle up on these travel plans or go ahead and make them. So, use this particular time during Capricorn season to set concrete goals for yourself for learning, teaching, exploring a new belief, planning those trips, whatever it is, commit to it at this particular season and commit to the discipline of it. Now, at the new moon at the end of the month, I think you'll be able to really solidify that particular dealing, but you can go ahead and start to realize that this is what this portion of the season is going to bring in for you. Now, as we are going to get to the 29th, we are going to see that Chiron comes direct in the vibration of Aries. Now, as Chiron is coming direct in the vibration of Aries, one of the things we want to remember is that Chiron is the wounded healer. And we've been watching Chiron do its work in Aries really around the identity. Okay, it's so much about the wound to the identity, the wound to, am I allowed to be? Who am I allowed to be? What am I? What are the bad habits I've brought in that have obscured or stopped me from really being who I need to be? So whatever it is, for you in the 12th house space, this is the space where, Taurus, people don't just waltz into your 12th house space. They don't just waltz into your spiritual space. You have to let them in. So now as Chiron is direct here, I think one of the things it does is it brings forward a lot of wisdom that you have gained from working with the people that you've let into your inner healing spiritual life and spiritual circle, or that you've let people into where your bad behaviors could have been your own undoing. You've let people into a space of your creativity. But really, more than anything, I think that if you've been working on healing your past wounds, dealing, Taurus, with some subconscious fears, especially anything around worth and subconscious fears of scarcity. This transit as Chiron comes direct, I think, is going to allow you to really integrate those lessons into your life. It's an integrative energy where you're like, some of the wound is healed. I don't have to travel from the point of just being wounded anymore. And it's really a time for you to embrace with a lot of self-compassion this new version of you that is traveling, and to forgive yourself, the Ho'oponopono, right? I don't know if you guys have heard that, but I love you, I forgive you, right? That's very much so what I think this is bringing in store for you. So practice that forgiveness, especially for yourself, wherever you believe or perceive that you have fallen short. Focus on integrating any healing insights, especially from these past months that you've had as you're moving your life forward. And let Chiron's energy here help you embrace a gentler, more compassionate approach to your own inner world, to rest, to rejuvenation, and to receiving, because just because you're ruled by Venus does not mean you know how to receive very well. Okay, friends, as we're going to clear out and end this month, we have got that last new moon happening in the vibration of Capricorn. And this is the one where I think, from the new moon we had at the beginning of the month to now, this is where before we were planning, revisiting it, revising some things, getting a little something in order, and now we can actually make it happen. So the new moon in Capricorn, first of all, is going to be happening again in that 9th house space for you, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, but it's going to support long-term goals, especially in education, travel, spiritual beliefs, any of those things. So this is going to be a time at the new moon to plant your seeds of intention and to plan meaningful projects, meaningful trips, meaningful studies. But whatever you're planning here, it's going to require commitment. Plan for it. Set a realistic, achievable goal for whatever your publishing, marketing, broadcasting, higher learning, long distance travel energy is, right? But focus on projects that really align with your current values, not with a version of yourself that you used to think that you were, like what is current for you? Because whatever you bring in now, it will require your commitment. But if you give it the commitment, it is going to give you and pay you long-term dividends. All right, my absolutely beautiful Tauran friends, I love you. Have a great month. Thank you for sharing another year with me. Make sure you stick around this channel as I travel with you every day on Instagram, every week and every month here on YouTube, and get ready for your 2025 forecast as well, where 5 different brilliant astrologers are walking you through every department of life to help you really be successful. I love you, Taurus. Bye. My beautiful Gemini friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, the last month of the calendar year. And we are coming into this month with Mercury, your ruling planet, in retrograde, bringing a little bit of challenge to the communication. The energy for you might still be a little bit more slow. It's just a lot more about review. Okay, in the sign of Sagittarius, this is really a lot about for you, Gemini, about slowing down in your relationships, looking for what's the balance between the things you need to say because they are the truth and how you're going to say them. That's really a big theme that is going on for you. But all in all, Gemini, as we are traveling throughout December, I think that we have an awesome opportunity to not only smooth out the communications, but because this is a month with 3 moons, 2 of them being new moons, it is the signature for us that this is a month of fresh starts. We just get a little bit more of the oomph at the end of the month. So let's jump in and talk about what's going on. So first things first, at the beginning of the month, we have got a new moon happening in Sagittarius, and this is going to light up your 7th house space. So Gemini, for you, this is planting the seeds of intention of new beginnings in relationships. They are fully supported. You're committing to a new decision or a new direction and maybe new decisions in your relationships, right? So set your seeds of intention, plant them to be Sagittarian around your relationships, open-hearted, expansive partnerships that are mutually beneficial, that are built on the similar philosophy of being. Now, we do want to keep in mind also, though, that at this particular lunation, Mercury is retrograde in Sagittarius, so you may be planting your seeds of intention to have this expansiveness, but it's a time where you're better off reviewing maybe what you have already. What are the goals that you've been working on? What kind of things need a revision or review to them? So use this lunation to, yes, plant your seeds of intention, but do it off of what you have reflected on that you are using or you want to build off of to have successful relationships. Now, again, I think we see a stronger culmination of what you're trying to build and the discipline to be able to build that as we get towards the end of the month. Now, on the 6th, we're going to see that Mars is going to go retrograde in the vibration of Leo, and we have literally been waiting all year for this, okay? So we have been getting geared up for it. And it's here now, and we are ready to do it. So as we're going to see this retrograde take hold, though, first of the things that we want to remember is that the Mars retrograde is going to be a transit that, first of all, lasts all the way until February. And if you have not seen the video that I did with Nicholas Palamanakis, where we talk about Mars and Cancer, but we also cover the Mars in Leo and the Mars retrograde that takes us really from February, but truly at the end of it all the way until May. I really want you to check that out. I'll put a link to that at the end of this video because it'll be really helpful for you. But as this is traveling here through your third house, it suggests, Gemini, slow down and really reconsider your approach to communication, right? Reflect. How are you sharing your ideas? Whether you are being too assertive and you need to back off of that a little bit because information has to be given and received. And if it's not doing both of those, there's going to be a breakdown. Or is it a space and a time where you need to be more of that vibration where you are being heard? You need to be more crisp and more clear with your verbiage. Whatever it is, with Mars retrograde, the way you're going about doing something is going to take like a cool off just a little bit. So what I'm going to say to you here as well is that when Mars goes retrograde, we have to watch our attitudes. We have to watch where we pull this explosive and impulsive anger out as well, especially in Leo. It can be very self-righteous. So watch your attitude. It's going to be better for you to really think before you speak. Look before you leap just a little bit here, Gemini. That will go a long, long way. Now, on the 7th, we're going to see Venus move into Aquarius, and this is going to light up your 9th house space. As Venus moves into the Aquarian domain, first and foremost, it's just a really different vibration where Venus is pulling in. Venus is not going out to hustle for anything, okay? She is not here on the hustle. But Venus in Aquarius, I like it at this time of the year because the Aquarian vibration is a lot more friendly. It's a lot more group inclusive. And here we are at the end of the year where there's parties and all of these other things going on. And as this lights up your 9th house space, it's going to bring an opportunity to pull to you fresh perspectives about publishing, marketing, broadcast, new connections through global interests that you have, educational interests that you have. Maybe you have a shared belief or philosophy, and it's pulling you towards people that share the same thing. So it's a great time for connecting with people. It's a great time for unconventional philosophies bringing you together, or being at that family gathering and somebody's brought their new partner or they're bringing their new way of life and it's really different than what you're used to looking for. So enjoy the diversity of backgrounds and explore that, okay? Engage. That's the other thing I would tell you. If Venus is pulling it to you, engage, especially if people are really very different than you. Join a class that encourages you to be challenged in your viewpoint. But embrace that open-mindedness in every way that it's calling to you in this particular arrangement. Now, we're also going to see that Neptune is going to be going direct as well. Now, as Neptune's going direct, it's going to be lighting up your 10th house space, putting a focus there. And this is really about, I think, a restoration of clarity, especially to any long-term visions that you have around your career or your reputation. So if your professional goals, Gemini, have felt a little uncertain, or you feel like they're right there, but you can't quite grasp them, this transit is to help you reconnect to your ideals and the dream and the vision that you have for that area of your life. So tune into your intuition with this. Tune into your intuition when setting your career goals, and trust. We've done so much work with Neptune here in Pisces on trust. Trust in a vision that really does inspire you, even if it seems very idealistic, right? Just remember, when it comes to your career or your purpose in public, as long as you are solving a problem with this area of your chart, you'll leave a beautiful legacy for yourself and really do a lot of help with others. As we get to the 15th, it's a very busy day. First of all, we have a full moon that's happening at 23 degrees of Gemini. So right here in your first house, in your sign. At the same time, your ruling planet Mercury is coming direct here in Sagittarius. So the full moon, first of all, is asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, right? There are just these realizations about yourself, your self-image, your external environment and how that looks, your personal goals. Many of you may even be experiencing a culmination or a closure around things related to your identity or how you express that, right? Either way, it's a time to, I think, Gemini, really release any insecurities, any of these outdated self-concepts, and embrace something that is clearer. It's more authentic. It is your true way of being. But since Mercury is also stationing direct today, one, it leads to kind of this stronger push towards moving forward with that new understanding of yourself, but it also leads to a bit of bumpy energy, right? Where you're like, woof, I'm trying to move this forward, but I feel like I'm kind of doing it. I'm doing it a little bit on bumpy ground. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, because really what Mercury's directness is going to be reflecting on this particular day is also that you will be able to have a different clarity about yourself in regards to your relationships as well. So if there have been conversations that needed to happen to clear the air, seal the deal, anything like that, I think that this particular lunation and Mercury's direct are particularly helpful for you. Now, when we get tootling along the road here on the 21st, we are going to see that the sun moves into the vibration of Capricorn. So happy birthday to the Capricorn area of your chart. We're welcoming in a solstice, whether the winter or the summer solstice, depending on where you are. But what the urge is here is for you to establish in your 8th house space, which is intimacy, assets, joint resources, death, debt, taxes, detox, in this really deep healing and sexual area of your chart as well. It's about you establishing a stable foundation for you to be able to make the transformations that are available during this season. Because Capricorn energy here supports realistic approaches to joint resources, shared finances, commitments, therapy, healing, detox. And so it encourages you to not only make realistic plans, but it also encourages you, Gemini, to build trust. And the way that you're going to build trust is through commitment. There's trust that comes through commitment, and that trust breeds stability. So this is a season all the way until the 19th of January that you'll be working on that. So it's a great time in the season for you to take a very disciplined approach to your personal goal, to your detox and your transformation, but focus on long-term goals, especially in places where you have a joint resource, financial planning, that personal transformation, inheritance work, whatever it is, take the long game approach to what's happening here. Now, on the 29th, we are going to see that Chiron comes direct, and Chiron is coming direct for you, Gemini, in your 11th house space. Now, as Chiron is coming direct here, one of the things that really catches my attention about this is that Chiron has been working in the space and the seat of the wounded healer. Okay, and this is very much so in the space of the identity for you as well, right? In that Aries energy, it's about the identity, but it's your identity in terms of groupings, social spheres. Maybe you felt like an outsider for a while, but it's really about being a leader and owning your space within a group, right? Telling your story within the group. But there's been a wound there for quite some time. Maybe you felt like you couldn't really step up, or there was an indecisiveness. Maybe even it felt very Aries, like you were having to fight to be seen or fight to get to the top in some way. Now, with Chiron having done a lot of work in healing and exposing first, but then healing the wound here, you have an opportunity with Chiron moving direct to realize that you're not operating from such a gaping wound anymore, right? That the wound that you have had around your identity, around groupings of people, around organizations, around humanitarian things, your social wounds and insecurities, friendships, groups dynamics, this transit now is going to allow you to integrate any of those lessons from the past and any of those social challenges from the past, and helping you feel more confident to step out there. So I would encourage you highly to embrace the wisdom you have gained from your past social experiences in particular. First of all, practice self-compassion, especially in group settings. Don't force yourself, and focus on building the most authentic connections that you can. This transit has worked really brilliantly for you. Okay, as we're going to close out the month, now we've got our last new moon. So again, a signature, 2 moons, 2 new moons this month. Something's getting started. We're going to be starting something, right? That's what we've got going on. So here we've got this new moon happening in Capricorn on the 30th. And first of all, that new moon that we had at the beginning of the month in Sag, there's still a lot of review happening on the table. Getting the ideas together, making sure they made sense, seeing if the bones of it were good. And now, as we're here at this particular new moon and it lights up your 8th house space, this is an excellent lunation for planting your seeds of intention to set a practical, grounded intention related to all things 8th house, your shared resources, that personal transformation, trust, sex, sexual reproductive organs, if you are needing some attending there, deep emotional bonds with other people. But here you're at the lunation, you're committing to a clear, well-managed plan and path to go about engaging that. How are you going to manage your debt? This is not the season when we're dealing with Capricorn where you're like, I'm going to hope it works out. No, it's practical. We're putting it down on paper. We have a plan. How I'm going to handle my debt, how I'm going to handle my detox, how I'm going to handle my investments, how am I going to handle my emotional healing. So it's a great time to plant your seeds of intention, commit to them, but I think also set financial and emotional boundaries and commit to the discipline of that self-transformation. I think that would be fantastic for you. And remember, just focus on the practical steps that will get you there, because through the practicality, we build intimacy, we build a shared wealth system. And that's really what I think you're going for in this particular season, Gemini. All right, beautiful Gemini friends, I love you a ton. Thank you for spending another year. Absolutely beautiful Cancerian friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, the final calendar month. And Cancer, this month, your 6th house is rocking and rolling until we get about mid-month and we move towards the solstice, and then we kick into relationships. So the thing I want you to keep in mind, especially as we're starting out the month, is that your 6th house is in full power. So things having to do with your health routines, daily routines, these things are going to be really, really strong for you, asking you to go on the adventure of making sure you're living your best, most healthy lifestyle. And that includes how you're talking to yourself. What's your mental health and wellness? How is your energy? I actually think it's really very good this month, but these are going to be some questions that are on your table as we come in. Now, also to remember that as we're coming into the month, we've got Mercury in retrograde, okay? And it's going to be retrograde until the 15th of the month. So we're coming in with our communication planet flipped backwards just a little bit. So you maybe need to pay a little bit of attention, Cancer, to what you're saying and what you're hearing. And more so, I think it's like someone's saying something to you and you're hearing it through a filter that may not be the right filter. So look for having a little bit more of a soft touch when you're listening. Listen twice, respond once, right? That may be something that is incredibly helpful for you this month, especially when it comes to things about your routine. All right, Cancer, let's jump in here and see what the month has to offer. First of all, at the beginning of the month, we've got a new moon happening in the sign of Sagittarius, and this lights up your 6th house space. So this new moon is an invitation for you to set your seeds of intention, to plant your seeds to begin a new cycle, right? But they're going to be around goals that have to do with your health, your daily routine, your work. If you're a freelancer or if you employ people, right? You're an independent contractor, something like that. You're going to be planting these seeds of intention here. There's also a fair amount of energy here, Cancer, that points me to maybe you're planting seeds of intention because you're beginning to care for someone. You are someone's carer. You take care of them, or you are in service to them in some way. And you're looking to be bringing a different set of energy in that direction. What I would encourage you to do is be very Sagittarian here, right? Embrace the optimism. Aim to expand, go on the adventure of your own expansion here. But we do need to keep in mind also that Mercury is retrograde. And because of that retrograde, it's a time where you're planting your seeds of intention, Cancer, but you're more so doing it in a review, right? Review the goals that you already have. Do they work? Do they need a revision? Do they need to be re-edited? So this moon, while it is the fresh start comes at the hands of a little bit of a cleanup and a little bit of a reflection. We'll see this cycle be able to actualize in more of a forward motion as we get to the end of the month to that next new moon that's going to be happening in Capricorn. Okay, so fear not, help is on the way, but I just want you to know this moon is better served a bit for a bit of cleanup. Now, when we get to the 6th, we are going to see that Mars is going to take its retrograde in Leo. And if you have not watched my video that I did with Nicholas Palamanakis, where we talked about the Mars and Cancer journey, where we also included Mars in Leo and the Mars retrograde, because this has been a very long story. And it's going to take us not only to February, where we see Mars come out of retrograde, but also really until May, where we see the story end. So this is something you want to really be paying attention to. But as Mars is going to go retrograde here, it's going to go retrograde in your 2nd house space. So this is like a prompting to you to reevaluate your financials, but in terms of your financial strategy. What are you doing, Mars, and what do you desire to do, Mars, with your financial life? So consider how you're using your resources. That's all resources. That's your social connections. That is your body. How do you value your body? How are you using your money, right? Of course, these things. And the question here is whether you are placing value where it truly matters, or if you need to reevaluate this, right? So reflect on how you've been investing. Reflect on how you've been investing your energy, your time, your money. And this is going to be a time to really look at refining that approach. Now, it is still Mars. Mars is still Mars. Mars is all the Mars. So one of the other things I would encourage you to do here is to be mindful, to watch your attitude and watch your anger and your impulsivity, right? Because it's going to be better for everyone during the Mars retrograde if you look twice, leap once. Okay, that is really very much so a theme. So pay attention to what you're doing. Don't just spend it because it feels good. Make sure that there's something that's really valuable to you there as you're going to be putting that money or that value-based decision in motion, okay? On the 7th, it's a little bit of a busy day. First of all, we are going to see that Venus moves into the energy of Aquarius. And I actually like this because, Venus is not a hustle hard energy. Venus is an attract to me what I really want kind of energy. And in Aquarius, it's really about people. There's like a lot of social energy that gets attached to this. Now, this is lighting up your 8th house space. So it's going to bring a fresh perspective, a fresh, innovative perspective to any place you've got shared resources. So this is going to be money, sex, intimacy, therapy, healing, esoteric studies, right? Maybe you even feel inclined while Venus is traveling here towards making a little bit of an investment that's unconventional for you, right? Or maybe you are like, I need a little bit more independence in my joint connections. Maybe you're too enmeshed. There's too much me and you, and you're like, I need a little bit of independence here, right? So relationships, I think, under the Venus traveling through Aquarius vibration can really benefit from realizing that space where we need to have mutual respect for the individuality, even while we're in the relationship, whether that's romantic, business, or anything alike. So during this transit, feel free, focus on nurturing the bonds of respect with another person and respect for their uniqueness, even if they're a little bit out of the box, right? And consider here any unique financial or collaborative or investment strategies that are going to be more forward momentum. And they maybe will even have a little bit of a humanitarian approach to them as well. So consider them. Is that something that's worth your time and worth your while? Now, we're also going to see on the same day that Neptune comes direct in the vibration of Pisces. So Neptune's direct motion here is like, it restores your faith in humanity. I really think that, Cancer. I think it is. I think it restores your faith in humanity, but also your faith in your own spiritual and philosophical beliefs, because you've really been having to take a look at that. Maybe you were going along for a while, Cancer, and what you really believed or you had in your spiritual practice, you're like, yes, this is my clearest ideal. And Neptune, when it went retrograde, it put your feet to the fire and it was like, yeah, can you really live up to that ideal? Does that ideal really work for you? And you've had to reevaluate that. That's what a Neptune retrograde will do in a very spiritual sense. So as Neptune comes direct here, clarity returns, right? And it returns in areas where you maybe have been even questioning your direction or your purpose. So I would encourage you to align with this direct energy by trusting the path that you really feel like you are spiritually drawn towards. Trust your intuition. Explore different practices that nourish your inner wisdom. You know, even if it's not as completely conventional as the track you were on before, explore that meditation, explore travel. These are things that maybe really soothe and express that inner wisdom for you. I just really encourage you to go on the journey of the expression of that. All right, on the 15th, also a busy day. We've got the full moon happening at 23 degrees of Gemini. And of course, this is going to light up your 12th house space. So the full moon is asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, right? And so we're pivoting in some way. But this full moon in the 12th house for you is about, again, bringing a sense of clarity, especially to emotions or emotional issues that have been hidden, and you're needing to talk about them. Gemini, you need to express the information, whether it's journaling, you're having an actual conversation, whatever it is. But it is a time, let me say it this way, this may be a time when you actually release some kind of really long-standing grudge that you've had, or 12th house, a long-standing habit that could lead to your own undoing. Maybe you're completing a period of inner work. You know, you've been going through that course of miracles or something like that, and you're bringing it to a close. Now, Mercury on the same day is going to be coming direct, and I think that that helps to bring closure to the things that have been unresolved, whether they've been spiritual, mental, or emotional. And this will allow you to have, you know, first of all, it brings peace. It brings peace. It brings forgiveness. It brings a deeper space of self-reflection. So my encouragement to you on this 15th and in the few days that will pass and follow is to use this lunation to speak to, write to, share to your deep emotional release. Let go of anything and anyone holding you back, especially self-limiting behaviors, self-limiting beliefs, behaviors, fears, or emotional baggage that are not leading you forward. They're leading to your own undoing. And allow this lunation time to set a space where you're actively allowing while also seeking closure and the mental clarity, because it's definitely, the cards are in your favor, okay? Now, when we get to the 21st, we're going to say happy birthday to the Capricorn areas of your chart, and we're also going to welcome in the solstice. So we're at another fresh start, another fresh beginning, okay? And as the sun is traveling here in Capricorn, bringing in the winter solstice in the north and the summer solstice in the south, this is a season that is about bringing stability. And for you, Cancer, it is all about bringing stability to your relationships. And that's not just your romantic relationships. It's your conscious, chosen one-on-one relationship. So if you're married, how is your relationship with your wife's cousin? Okay, like what is the relationship with your business partner, with you and a higher power, you with yourself, you with someone who's really significant in your life, like maybe even a parent, a mother, a strong mother figure in your life, right? This season is about bringing stability to those relationships. So what I'm going to encourage you to do all through Capricorn season, I'm going to encourage it every year, is to bring your focus to building really long-term, long-standing bonds. And you're going to have a bit of help with that, because we're also going to have a new moon at the end of the month that's going to help you. Now, on a very practical note, when the sun is in Capricorn, especially because it is like the holiday seasons, this can be where you just grind down, right? Like you grind down, you get it done, you do that last minute shopping, you do whatever, you make those final plans. So in a very practical way, I think that's actually quite useful. Okay, as we get to the 29th, we are going to see that Chiron comes direct in the vibration of Aries. And this is going to be lighting up for you, Cancer, that 10th house space. So in the 10th house, we're dealing with your career, but we're not just dealing with your career, but things that take authority, right? They are the stories we tell ourselves that really author our lives. So what is that for you? What does that look like for you? But it's also going to be your reputation, you know, in public. It's going to be your reputation in public. What do people know you as before you walk in the room? What do people know you as? Do they call you mother? Do they call you father? Do they call you my cousin's husband, right? Like, what do they call you in public? And at a service level, what do they call you, in your community? What are you known as? Because as we're looking at Chiron coming direct here in Aries, first of all, we've really been doing a significant amount of shifting about how you approach the career in the public image area of your life. And I even think some of your own aspirations, but it's also been where you've been confronted with wounds or insecurities that have been related to you and your professional identity, to you in whatever the stories are that have authored your life, to you and your achievements. So now as Chiron moves forward, what I think this offers is the opportunity to integrate the insights you have learned, right? So it allows you to approach your career, your reputation, your aspirations. You can replace those ambitions with aspirations. And you have this new sense of confidence, this new sense of resilience about yourself because Chiron in Aries has encouraged you to integrate your past with your current reality, with your current life, and live strongly in that new identity. Where you felt uncertain or self-conscious about asserting yourself maybe in a certain way in public, now is the time that you step into that role with greater self-confidence. Now is the time that you embrace an authentic approach to how you lead yourself, lead your life, rather than shying away from being an authority in some way. You're encouraged to author and be an authority in probably a very different way than you ever were before. So one of the things I just want to offer you here at this particular transit is to consider mentorship. Consider, and we don't always call it mentorship, but maybe you need guidance in a role that you're trying to step into, Cancer, right? Chiron's energy often relates to being the teacher as well as the one who's wounded, but the teaching and the healing is here as well. So you might feel called to mentor other people in your field. You're helping them navigate, and you may also be calling in mentorship of your own because you're like, hold on, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to go to the people who do know how to get it done. So I would encourage you, step into it, bring that mentorship. It's only going to do you well. All right. And as we're going to close out the month, we've got this last new moon happening in Capricorn. And of course, this is lighting up that 7th house space for you. So as we're experiencing this new moon, you are encouraged, first of all, everything that you were kind of planting the seeds of intention and doing a lot of review at the beginning of the month with that Sagittarian new moon. And it was like, it's not really rolling. What's happened, Storms? It's not really rolling. This is where the ball can kind of get going forward now. So you had the revision. You had, this expansive idea of where you could take it. Now is a really powerful time where you set a grounded, commitment-oriented intention in your partnerships and a path to get you there. And again, this is both romantic, this is professional, because Capricorn here is going to encourage you to seek a practical, disciplined approach to what's going on in your relationships. So it's also a nice invitation to consider what is going to bring long-term stability to my connections, to the structure of my connections. But make no doubt that this moon is calling commitment and stability to your relationships. And you have to take part in creating reliable, mature connections. So if you've been hoping for greater security or commitment in a partnership, and again, business, spiritually, romantically, this is the time. Set those seeds of intention to be able to do that and reflect on, Cancer, what does long-term commitment and compatibility look like to you? Because if you're not in something where you can long-term have the same values, have the same compatibility there, a long-term goal is just not going to work out, okay? All right, my beautiful Cancerian friends, I love you a ton. Thank you for spending 2024 with me. I look forward to supporting you every day on Instagram as we step into 2025, every week and every month right here on YouTube. And please make sure that you stay tuned for your 2025 annual breakdown from 5 expert astrologers taking you through every department of life, getting you massively prepared for 2025. Bye, Cancer. Leo friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, our last calendar month. Wow, I can't even believe it. But we are here coming into December, first of all, with 3 moons in this month, Mars going retrograde in your sign, which we've been getting prepared for, and Mercury retrograde. So we're coming into December. We're coming in hot, right? We're really not. We're coming in a little bit slow, a little bit more of a review energy, and then it picks up as the month gets going. So keeping that in mind, Leo, as we are coming into December, Mercury's retrograde is going to still put a little bit of a kink, a little challenge in the communication. So you can't just drive straight at something. We're a bit more reflective, and that's okay. We will catch it at the next moon. So let's jump in here and talk about what's going on in the month. So right at the beginning of the month, first and foremost, we have got a new moon that's happening in Sagittarius, and this is going to light up your 5th house space. Now, this new moon is going to encourage a lot of new beginnings, first of all, because it's a new moon, but in a house that you're totally comfortable with. You're a natural kind of 5th house vibration, creativity, projects, self-expression, romance, a bit of grandiosity, right? Some hobbies, play, pleasure, fun, where you're taking a risk, where your passions and your intentions for love and joy and a little bit of excitement, where you want to embrace that. That's really what's being called here at this particular new moon for you to plant your seeds of intention with. However, we do still have Mercury retrograde at this moon. So instead of planting them and running with them, you're actually looking a little bit more, Leo, about what you already have. You're reviewing and revising the goals that you already have and seeing if they sound solid. Is this on board, or is there something that you need to reflect on a little bit more so that you're making sure you're really, truly, authentically being the Leo that you want to be, calling this into your life in the right way. So you'll have the opportunity to do a bit more review at this new moon, but plant those seeds of intention nonetheless. On the 6th, we see Mars taking its retrograde in your sign, and this is a long story. If you have not checked out the video I did with Nicholas Palomanakis, which was the Mars in Cancer transit, where we also included Mars in Leo and the Mars retrograde, because this story is going to take us to February, but really till May of 2025. If you haven't checked it out, I'll put a video at the end. But here on December 6th, Mars is taking a retrograde in Leo in your 1st house. So first of all, you are invited to a massive amount of introspection on how you assert yourself, right? If you felt compelled, Leo, to take bold action, or you've been assertive in ways that don't fully reflect your authentic being, this transit is going to encourage you to really have a reevaluation of that at this particular time, right? And there could be a vibration with Mars here where you're feeling less outwardly driven, right? So you're like, okay, let me pause and consider what's going on. Let me reconsider my desires, my motivations. And that's great because you can redirect your energy towards actions that are maybe a bit more slowed down, right? They are a bit more in alignment with who you really truly have found out you are and who you've developed into over this last year. Now, the other part of this is we can't miss is that this could be changing up your physical appearance. Not only your physical appearance, but your own reflection of your self-image, right? And so you're like, I really want my outer expression to match with my inner authentic self. And this can be really, really big. The moment where you transition from one stage in your life and then you accept it and start living the current reality in the next, that's really, really a huge thing. So here's something I want you to think about. If your physical is what's really changing for you, is that while the Mars retrograde can bring a period of lower energy, and it prompts you to do that, slow down. It's going to prompt you to slow down and ask you to check in with your body, check in with your energy. If you've been pushing yourself too hard, too much, this retrograde can signal that need for physical rest and self-care. Any built up frustration or anger can surface during this retrograde because it's been living unresolved in your bodies, in your tissues. Your body is not a coffin. Don't let your emotions go into you and die in your tissues, okay? You can benefit during this retrograde of getting that out. Do the Venus Reset program. Clear out that old stank energy from your pelvic bowl, from your vaginal walls, from your heart. Do that breath work. Let your lungs release the aggression that's been sitting on your chest and on your heart, right? This is a real way that you can absolutely align with this. And this is an actualization of demonstrating your inner courage as well. It's going to show you how you're going to have the courage to state what needs to be stated and release it in safe, self-expressive, but also creative ways. There's a vibrancy that comes with clearing out your own space and using a Mars retrograde to come do some internal clean off and burning out. There is just nothing like it. So I wish you an absolutely beautiful Mars retrograde, and I hope you get to find a lot of peace and a lot of freedom, burn away what doesn't need to be there anymore. Now, when we get to the 7th, it's a bit of a busy day. We're going to see Venus move into the vibration of Aquarius, lighting up your 7th house space. So first of all, Venus is not that hustle hard planet. Venus is not that hustle hard planet. Let me just say that again. Okay. So Venus here in Aquarius, first of all, especially at the holiday times, is a little bit more social. So we like that. That's nice. But in the 7th house, Venus is adding a bit of independence in your relationships where it's like, I want to go, I need to do a little bit more of my own thing. I need to reflect a little bit more on my own uniqueness because yes, this relationship is delicious, but I also need a little bit of freedom. Or maybe you're in your relationship, you're like, I need a little bit more of an unconventional approach. Right? And that's what's actually going to bring unity into my relationships. And sometimes the unconventional approach is doing the most traditional thing ever. It depends on where that scale of unconventionality lives for you. But have no doubt that in your close one-on-one, conscious chosen relationships, Venus in Aquarius is going to invite you to break away from whatever a traditional and stagnant expectation that you have had in your relationships and embrace more open-mindedness. Embrace a different kind of connection. It's going to encourage space and freedom in your relationships in a way that I think alters your relationship dynamics, right? It's like, hold on, this could mean that we need to rethink the roles that we're in, or we create a new kind of agreement. And remember, this is partnerships that are not just romantic. It can be at work as well. Maybe we need to experiment with something for a time and see how that works. The other thing I like about this is that Venus is pulling in, it's attracting in people who are like-minded with you. So if you find yourself drawn to people who really challenge your thinking, who really encourage your individuality, or who are introducing you to social circles that are not common to where you would normally go, Venus is presenting you an opportunity to consider these unconventional perspectives. So in your relationships, conscious chosen relationships, explore the unique opportunities together. Go together, join a group, go to the workshop, take the Zoom call, whatever it is, do it together and enjoy the exploration. And if you don't leave the Venus in Aquarius transit saying, okay, wait, what qualities do I truly enjoy and value in my partnerships, and how can I prioritize freedom and shared ideals? I'll be shocked. I will be shocked. Okay. All right. Also on the 7th, though, we've got Neptune coming direct. And now Neptune's going to come direct for you in that vibration of Pisces, lighting up your 8th house space. So as Neptune's coming direct here, Neptune's direct motion is going to, first of all, I think bring a sense of clarity because it clears up any confusion really that's maybe been going on about shared resources, about intimate relationships. Maybe you've been studying astrology and you're like, I'm not getting it. Why isn't it working? This can also bring a clarity to that as well. So, if you find that there's clarity coming in, and also if you find, Leo, that there's clarity coming, you feel like it's easier for you to trust your own intuition. Maybe it's easier to see and sense a pathway forward, especially towards healing, especially towards transformation, especially towards trust. Then I encourage you, trust your instincts. Trust your intuition. And here, this is a financial house, so trust your instincts in a financial matter as well, right? Now, one thing I can say that maybe will be benefit for you in a very practical way is creative visualization, meditation. Any of those things can actually be really helpful for you while Neptune is continuing to transit here, especially if you get into a situation and you're like, these waters feel a bit murky. I don't have clarity. Stop, breathe, create the vision of the outcome that you are seeking, and let the pathway be revealed to you, okay? All right, on the 15th, also a very busy day because first of all, we've got the full moon happening at 23 degrees of Gemini, and this is going to light up your 11th house space. So as this full moon is happening here, you're being asked to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. Now, this is going to be in your 11th house, so something around groups, grouping, social situations, friends, things like that. You're going to be asked to make a pretty big pivot. I do think for some of you too, because Gemini is such a networker, you may see this like in your network or even, the social network, social media. You could be seeing that as well. So you're going to be asked to make a pivot here in some way though. So don't be surprised if your social groups, your friendship groups, your long-term aspirations you've had for yourself, you find them changing into a different direction. Now, on the same day, we've got Mercury, the ruling planet of Gemini, turning direct at the same time. So I think that this brings a really nice potential for clarity, like a breakthrough of clarity in a social situation, right? You're like, oh, I see. And the communication gets smoother in your group, in your friendship. If there's been a misunderstanding, if you've been waiting 6 weeks to get that freaking contract back, this gets smoothed over and there's like clarity that comes here. Now, for some of you as well, especially if you're in some kind of leadership position, Leo, you may really be reassessing group dynamics. That is my resume level way of saying some of these people they have to go. Some of these people have to go because they are confused about what the role is, or you have been behaving, Leo, in a way where you have not set a clear expectation of the roles in a group dynamic, and Mercury's direct motion here is going to help you reestablish those boundaries. So celebrate the achievements that have come from your social spaces. Look at which groups and community efforts and connections and social media platforms have reached their completion and you're ready to move on from them, and feel free to let those things go. Now, Mercury is, again, though, coming direct in that 5th house. So this can be a question or something having to do with your children as well. And you have a lot more clarity around the roles that are unfolding there as well. Okay, when we get to the 21st, we are going to welcome in the winter solstice in the north and the summer solstice if you are friends down in the south. And this means that we are bringing Capricorn, the sun into Capricorn, to the table. Now, as the sun moves into Capricorn, it lights up your 6th house space. So first of all, this is the time of the year where we're going to put a lot of emphasis on discipline in your daily routines, health, your daily schedule, especially if you're some kind of entrepreneur person, right? You're going to need to bring some discipline to how you're talking to yourself, what's going on with your mental health and wellness. And there's going to be a sense here, I think, of setting goals for real health check-ins, real discipline around health, self-care, how you are taking care of yourself and being productive. And the energy is just starting here. It will continue to creep up and get louder and louder and louder as the month goes on, so that you are able to really actualize the Capricorn benefits that come with the discipline. So at that new moon, as we're traveling at the end of the month, I think that we'll hear the volume on this get a little bit louder, but just know that this is the time of year where your health and your daily routines are going to start to take a significant shift because they just need a bit more of your attention, okay? Now, as we get to the 29th, we are going to see that Chiron, that's the name. Chiron is stationing direct in the vibration of Aries, and this is lighting up your 9th house space. So first of all, Chiron's journey through the 9th house, just in general, has been a lot of encouragement for you, Leo, to confront and to heal wounds, as Chiron is our wounded healer. But these are wounds associated with any self-doubt, you've had in your beliefs, in your philosophies, your customs that you've believed in life, any insecurities you've had around sharing knowledge. But I also think at a deeper level, for many Leos, it's been this unresolved question about what is really my life's purpose, right? And as Chiron moves forward, you have an opportunity to apply the wisdom that you've gained from all your past experiences, bring them forward, integrate them into your current self, your current identity, and step confidently with that authentic vibration, that integration of your beliefs into the world. Because this has been a real reclaiming of personal beliefs for you, Leo. You know, and what have been your own unique beliefs and perspectives? Have you struggled with accepting or standing up for your own truth? Because there's certainly through this transit been a renewed sense of self. It has encouraged you to even embrace your worldview really unapologetically, even if it deviates from what are, in quotes, traditional norms, right? Things having to do with teaching, higher education, publishing, marketing, broadcasting. Chiron Direct supports you stepping forward with more confidence. You may be ready to teach. You may be a mentor. You may be engaging a mentor. You may be stepping into some kind of learning. You may be stepping into some kind of healing travel or cultural experience that is really freeing you and lighting your heart up, okay? So enjoy it. Enjoy it. Now, there are some potential challenges you might still be stepping over. And I think one of them for you, Leo, with your big, beautiful heart, is you have to balance openness with discernment now, okay? Because while Chiron has got this, it's encouraging that healing and you're stepping out into your new self, but you're on this exploration. But it's essential that you discern not only which ideas really resonate with you, but who's ready to heal those ideas, because who's ready to hear those healed ideas, because you've got to seek out spaces that feel supportive and true to your personal journey, not the ones that feel like philosophies that you're still based in of obligation, okay? All right, as we're going to end the month, as promised, we've got this last new moon lighting up your 6th house space. And as we approach this particular new moon, again, everything that you were bringing in from the beginning of the month where you were much more in a review position, it was like you're reviewing the great possibilities. And now, as we have this new moon in Capricorn, you're going to set realistic intentions for your health, for your work, for your daily routine, but they are grounded, they are structured, they are disciplined, practical goals for wellness and productivity. And you're going to be able to bring that in and bring it to your table. So I really love what's available for you as we close out this month, because it's a lunation that, you know, like I'm not here for New Year's resolutions. I'm just not here for them. New year, new me. Absolutely not. I'm not here for that. But I think that it is one that helps you feel supported in an approach that makes you feel steady with seeing the progress that you're making by instilling more discipline into your life. All right, my beautiful Leo friends, thank you for traveling 2024 with me, even if you're new to the squad. Love having you here in the Astrology Soulmate family. I look forward to walking with you every day on Instagram, every week, and every month here on YouTube. And please stick around for your 2025 full horoscopes annually, where we've got 5 experts in their chosen realms getting you prepared for all of 2025. Have a great December, Leo. My beautiful Virgo friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, our final calendar month together. So thank you so much for letting me travel with you all of 2024 and this month included. Now, this month is just supreme because we've got 2 new moons happening. We've got a 3-moon month. So this is just a signature for us that there is a lot of fresh start and a lot of fresh perspective that is available. Now, we are going to be traveling through December and moving ourselves into 2025 a little bit with the brakes on, okay, so that is something to keep in mind. Coming into this month, keeping in mind that your ruling planet Mercury is still retrograde as we're traveling into this month. So that brings a challenge to some of the communication. You know, typically Sagittarius is like, yeah, whatever, let's just go for it. We're going to just have the conversation. And it's a lot truthful and bringing a lot of information. And here there's a lot of space for miscommunication. So we want to just keep that in mind as you're coming into the month. Stay gentle, stay graceful. with communication, stay easy with it. Reconsider a lot of times the information that you're getting or that you're sharing, because it might not just be as spot on as we would like. All right, Virgo, let's jump in and see what the month holds for you. Starting out on the 1st at the beginning of the month, we've got a new moon happening in Sagittarius, and this is going to light up your 4th house space. So home, family, real estate, property, your roots. And as this new moon is unfolding, it invites new energy into that home space, right? Where you're setting your seeds of intention for family, for harmony, for maybe expanding your family or expanding your living space. Maybe you're bringing more joy or more adventure into a very domestic space for you. Now, whatever you're planting your seeds of intention around, especially in that home zone, Mercury is still retrograde in Sagittarius. So because of this retrograde, I think that this particular new moon for the month is better suited towards a review. Okay, you've had these goals for this area of your life and you're planting the seeds of intention, yes, but the seeds of intention are around revising a set of goals or plans that you already have, because you're like, okay, do they make sense? Is what I was asking for in the beginning of the year in my home life, does it make sense today? You know, have I found out, have I changed over the year, and now I need to revise my goal here. So this particular new moon, while it's got those seeds of intention for something new to blossom, I think it's a newness coming out of a reflection of what's going to help you be most in alignment with the direction that you really want to go. Now, as we get to the 6th, we are going to see that Mars is going to step into its retrograde in Leo. If you have not watched the video that I did with Nicholas Palomonakis, where we talked about Mars traveling through Cancer, but we also included Mars traveling through Leo and the retrograde, because this is a very long story. Okay, it's been going on for a very long time. I'm going to put that video at the end so that you can check it out, because we will really be in this story until May of 2025. So you want to have your head super wrapped around that. But as Mars is going to go retrograde here in Leo, this is going to light up your 12th house space. So the retrograde here is a suggestion, first of all, that the energy of how you're doing things is going to slow down, right? The energy gets lowered when Mars goes retrograde. So there's a need for a lot of introspection about how you're doing things, why you're doing things, and what is driving you to do things. So during this retrograde time, you might feel the urge to honestly kind of retreat from social life, because this is the 12th house space. This is the space where nobody gets to just intrude in here. You have to invite them in, okay? Or they're not getting in here. But it's also the space of the things going on behind the scenes, our hidden illnesses, whether that be addictions, coping mechanisms, immunity issues. If we've got things with depression, any of that are going to live in the 12th house space, and other things that we are doing behind the scenes. Okay, so at this time, your focus is not going to be in that outward social way. It's more focusing instead on reevaluating those hidden motivations, those unconscious, subconscious habits that maybe are leading to your own undoing or not bringing the level of joy and spiritual connectedness in that you would like. Because this transit is really going to encourage you to release, right? Release what's suppressed over here, whether it's a suppressed emotion, a suppressed behavior, an opinion, whatever it is, releasing it and examining what the underlying fear or what is unresolved there is going to really, really be something useful for you. Now, something else in the 12th house, when Mars is in the 12th house in general, we can be a little bit more tired because the energy is spinning, it's going, and this is in a very quiet area of our chart. So one of the things you can also do here, Virgo, is use this time to rest, to recharge, honor your own need for solitude if you do need some of that, okay? Engage in any kind of therapeutic practice. You know, maybe it's time for you to go into your dream analysis. Is there counseling that needs to be done? You need to meet with your sponsor. You need to sit down and actually sit with your research. Whatever allows you a space for quiet reflection and to, again, uncover and release these things is going to be of amazing, amazing help to you. So I encourage you to move into that. Now, on the 7th, it's quite a busy day. First of all, we've got Venus moving into the vibration of Aquarius, which I do love because, you know, Venus in Aquarius is, first of all, Venus is not hustling. Venus is calling and attracting into us. And in Aquarius, it's a very social sign. So here we are at the end of the year, holiday time, you know, the little class parties and everything else. So you want a social vibe going in general. Now, this for you is going to light up your 6th house space. So Venus here is encouraging you to bring, and I mean that, bring, receive, call to you, not hustle. Bring a refreshing, more harmonious, more an easier approach to your work and your health and your productivity zones. Right? It's going to encourage you to be Aquarian. Innovate your routines if they don't feel like there's a flow and there's an ease to them. Maybe you feel inspired to connect with your colleagues and just see how things are going with them, or you're adding some creative touches to your work environment. You know, you're refreshing your workspace, even if you work from home. There's just this innovation that's kind of being called in where you're like, I want to create a container around me that allows Venus to call to me exactly the vibration I would like to participate in. Now, for many of you as well, I do think that Venus here in the sixth house position is a great energy for calling work and contracts to you. So if you've been looking for a job or you've been looking for something like that, put those resumes out there. Put them out there, or wait, because some of the ones you put out there, especially since the energies are still retrograde, you might be starting to hear from them as we're traveling and getting closer towards the end of the year. On the same day, on the 7th, we are going to see that Neptune is coming direct, and this is going to be, of course, in Pisces, so in your 7th house space. Now, as Neptune comes direct here, first of all, there's a clarity that happens, right? If there's been misunderstanding in your partnerships, in your relationships, or you just have felt like you and your one-on-one relationships you're not in alignment. I think that Neptune's coming direct makes it easier to empathize with others and for them to empathize with you. And this really can kind of course correct a lot of what's been going on in relationships. But also for you, if there have been people, places, and things in your relationships that, you know, you've idealized them and or you've really thought poorly of them, right? It's like too high, too low. You maybe have more of an even keel to your perspective here, because sometimes what can happen is it's like I see a person in a particular vein, right? Like I put them on the pedestal or I put them below the pedestal, depending on where it is. And I'm not actually seeing them as a whole perfect human being. And Neptune direct kind of gives you a space where you're able to come back to them and to their own humanity and be like, wait, this is just a human being with all the things. And that in and of itself can clear up a lot of challenges as well. On the 15th, we've got a full moon happening at 23 degrees of Gemini, and this lights up your 10th house space. So as we're experiencing this full moon, it's going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, okay? Now, on the same day, we are going to see that Mercury is going to be coming direct as well. So just to say, first of all, it is an energetically busy day. It's just an energetically busy day because whenever Mercury is stationing, it puts a little wave in the ocean. But putting this together with a full moon, it's really illuminating this space for us where it's like communication, adaptability, curiosity. There's something about a conversation or something in your professional life that needs its closure. So at the same time that Mercury is going direct, it's going to support a smoother, clearer sense of communication, whether it's with your superiors, your colleagues, maybe in the public sphere is where we see you, or it's in a title that you call yourself. So allow this to be a time where you're also celebrating. Maybe you are getting some recognition in your career, in your name, or a project or something that you're putting out there. You know, it's this like peak moment that is really in your favor. Allow the recognition to come in. You've worked diligently towards something. So allow the closure to come. And it's not just closure. Right? Yes, we can end jobs, end major projects, things like that. But also, I think it's like my values were poured into something I was working on, and now I'm ready to pivot from them. I'm taking what I've learned and I'm ready to pivot onto what is next. So if this is an energy for you where in your 10th house, your career, your public reputation, to include, you know, are you married? Are you not married? What do we call you in public? If you need to make any kind of adjustments to the trajectory that you are on that better aligns you with what you really aspire to be in alignment right now, just make sure that you're assessing it for what you can do, what changes you can make that are going to help you hit those long-term goals. And remember that Mercury is very much so working in your favor here, especially if any changes have needed to be made, Virgo, at home. All right, just behind that on the 21st, we are going to come into some solstice energy. Now, if you're our friends in the north, of course, we are coming into winter time. So it's time for those little mufflers and little scarves and earmuffs and all that good stuff. And if you're one of our friends that are in the south, you're coming into summer. Either way, we're having a solstice. So it's a beautiful time to say happy birthday to a new season and the Capricorn area of your chart. So as the sun is going to come into Capricorn, bringing more energy to your 5th house space, what we have an opportunity to pay attention to here is your creativity, romance, your self-expression. You're bringing discipline to creative projects that you've had. You're bringing discipline to how you've expressed yourself. Maybe, this is still Capricorn energy. So you're setting a personal goal for yourself, or you're taking on a commitment to express yourself or to take a risk in some new way that is going to be a more full expression of who you are. Whatever it is, we're going to work on that. And I think that the moon at the end of the month is going to further support that as well. Now, as we get to the 29th, we are going to see that Chiron comes direct in the vibration of Aries, and this is going to light up your 8th house space. Okay, as we are having this brilliant experience of Chiron, having worked in that Aries position, it's been all about the identity, all about our identities, the wounds to the identity, Virgo. So there's these spaces where no matter who, what, when, where, and how you are, there have been these wounds, even stories that we've told ourselves, about where I'm empowered, what my values are, my accepting myself, accepting my growth, brings up deep-seated, deep ones. These are 8th house things. They go below the surface. These are in the places where if we pushed all of the air out of your body, this is where these ones live. And it's around intimacy, sex, my reproductive function, trust, personal transformation, right? So Chiron's been working on this, healing your trust, healing your vulnerability in your shared resources, healing your vulnerability and your identity in your relationships. Because if you've experienced challenges, Virgo, in opening up with other people, this Chiron direct energy now is telling you you're not working so much from the wound anymore. There's some healing that has happened. So it helps you to embrace that vulnerability, and you're doing it with a greater strength, right? And Chiron was also the teacher. So this is teaching you that openness can coexist with self-protection, that there is a boundary between the two, right? The other thing that I think that this is really good for many of you is two things. One, in the 8th house, I always think about detox, right? What needs to be let go of? And sometimes in the 8th house, what we're holding on to are fears. They are just fears, and we don't know how to let them go. So if you have been put in a position over these last months to confront fears, especially fears of loss or fears of change or transformation, I think that Chiron coming direct is a transit that allows you to walk that line between life and death, because in life we have to master death as well, right? So this is an energy that allows you to accept that transformation is a part of life, that it helps you find that strength and letting go of what doesn't serve you anymore. Move that emotional attachment into a different position. Let go of that limiting belief. Let go of that financial obligation. Let go of that judgment. It's not serving you. And the other thing is just finances. Any insecurities or anxieties you have had around finances, financial independence, trust, all of that, I think you're in a much better position now to be able to lean into that a bit more and feel a lot more secure. You've learned a lot from your past. Now you put your past and your present together and you see how you can really let it all be a benefit to you because you are healed. All right, as we get to the end of the month on the 30th, we've got our second new moon for the month, and this is the new moon happening in Capricorn. Again, now bringing all of the light and the attention and the energy to this 5th house space, and also bringing your attention to the adventure you started at the beginning of the month with the new moon in Sagittarius, where you had to really review a lot of things and get an expanded view of them. But now you can put like concrete things in place, a method, something practical, grounded to reach that expand your horizons energy. So we're going to see this new moon in Capricorn lighting up your 5th house space. So again, it's going to support realistic plans, designs, and strategies for the intentions you are setting to have more creativity, have more play, more pleasure, more romance, children, take a risk on something, romance, right? And you're going to be able to use this new moon, I think, to set the goals for what you want to achieve. Set goals, form relationships that allow you to get where you want to go, but also to have the steadiness of Capricorn. Realizing the patience, the discipline, and the dedication that it takes to be in committed relationships, to take on whatever you're going to take on. There is just a sense of deep dedication and commitment that's going to need to go with it as well. But whatever is happening, this is going to be the one where you can say, all right, I'm putting a plan together to help these things move forward and for me to see my progress as I grow through it. All right, my absolutely beautiful Virgo friends, have a beautiful rest of 2024. I love you, and I will see you in 2025. Absolutely beautiful Libra friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, our final month in this calendar year. And thank you so much for letting me travel with you all of 2024. Stick around because your 2025 full annual horoscopes are on the way for you as well. 5 experts, astrologers in their level of, or their area of expertise are coming for you. But Libra, let's also talk about what December has to offer for us, because this is a month of 3 moons, 2 of which are new moons, which means it is a month where we have got the fresh starts available to us. But we're going to do that kind of slowly, because as we're coming into December, we're coming in with Mercury retrograde, which can bring the challenges to communication, decision-making, discernment. But then we're also very quickly going to have Mars, another personal planet, step into a retrograde as well. So it's going to pump the brakes quite a bit, but there is still plenty that can be done and can be worked with these energies. So let's jump in here and see what we can do with it. All right at the beginning of the month on the 1st, we've got a new moon happening in Sagittarius, and this is lighting up your 3rd house space. So this is a great time to set your intentions around learning, communication, a new project that you wanted to start, maybe something that you're writing, a contract that you wanted to sign, something like that. Even your network, who's in your local community, things having to do with siblings, short distance trips, right? Whatever this is, this very Sagittarian new moon can help you to make those decisions or to make those plans. It's really about explore and expand, especially your knowledge or your connections with other people, so that it can really broaden your horizons. Now, the trick at this particular lunation is that because Mercury is still retrograde in Sagittarius at this time, I think that while you're planting your seeds of intention for the newness that's available here, it's more about bringing a new perspective or new energy to goals that you already have, plans that you already have. You know, does something need, you need to re-edit that book, you need to revise, you need to reconsider something. But it's not so much that you are launching anything new forward at this particular new moon. You're reflecting a bit more about what is going to be in alignment to help you be successful as you do move forward. So consider that quite highly as we are traveling towards this particular moon. Now, when we get to the 6th, we've got Mars taking its retrograde in the vibration of Leo. And this is going to light up your 11th house space. So first of all, let me say, if you haven't had the opportunity to check out the video I did with Nicholas Palamanakis, where we talked about Mars in Capricorn, Mars in Cancer, but we also covered the Mars in Leo and the retrograde. I'm going to put that video at the end of this video so that you can check that out, because this is a very long story. It's actually going to take us all the way into May of 2025. Okay, so you definitely want to see where this area is working for you. So as we see Mars start this retrograde here in your 11th house space, it invites you to reconsider your approach to how you're going about friendship, how you're going about group activities. It's also a time to review any goals you have to make sure they're really in alignment and really driven by your true aspirations, and not just a vision that someone else gave you and said that you need to have. You know, it's really what's in alignment for you. Now, this is also really great for anything having to do with social medias as well, right? It's like anything having to do with those social spaces, you're going to do pretty well to get those things checked out in these particular in this particular retrograde, because Mars is so much about the action that I'm taking to do something or the desire behind what I'm doing. So you're having a lot of reconsidering. The other thing I was thinking about the Mars retrograde can bring to the table, because Mars is still Mars, is conflict. So if there's something going on in your friendships or your social connections, or maybe a group that you were previously attached to, think about it in terms of you've already been actively involved with this particular grouping or this friendship. And if there is conflict that needs to rise to the surface so that it can just be aired out, so that those dynamics can get back into alignment, or you can see that there's no value in the space and the place that you're at anymore, I think that we'll see a fair amount of that happening here as well. Now, one of the things you can plan for, Libra, is that Mars being retrograde is a frustrating energy. So, first of all, watch your frustration, watch your attitude, watch if you're going to have an outburst or something like that. It's a much better time to look twice, leap once. That way, you can let that Mars encourage the introspection that needs to happen and understand why you would want to take that action, as opposed to just taking the action and then you have leaped and there is a whole world of problems. All right. When we get to the 7th, it's actually a bit of a busy day, busy energy. First of all, we're going to see Venus moving into the energy of Aquarius. And I actually like this because it's the end of the year. So it's such a social time. And Aquarius is a social, friendly energy. So it's really nice to have that. And Venus being in a social sign, Venus is attracting and wants to bring harmony, wants to bring some peace and some flow to where it's at. So here in the 5th house, you're getting this encouragement to, first of all, be more independent. You've got an independent vibe, like what brings you pleasure? What brings you play? What's happening with your children? Is there an independence or a creativity or a self-expression that's happening there as well? Where can you draw to you people, places, things, and ideas that support independence, support freedom, support maybe unconventional means of going about achieving something you want to? So I would love to see if you're able to use this energy to bring a bit more inspiration to try new things, right? Maybe you're trying a new arrangement in dating. Maybe you're trying out something new artistically or in a hobby. Maybe your children are demanding that they want to try something new, and you kind of get to be in the space of encouraging this just a little bit. On the same day, we're going to see that Neptune comes direct in the vibration of Pisces. So this brings about a clarity. Okay, there has been some lack of clarity, especially around things in the daily routine, maybe your productivity, around your health, work. Maybe you're a caretaker for someone and you are of service to them. And there's just been this lack of clarity, or the ideal is not being met. So as Neptune comes direct, you're encouraged to, first of all, make adjustments with a lot more clarity. Trust your intuition. Trust that you have redefined an ideal for this area of your life. And you can trust your intuition and your instincts to make adjustments so that your daily life, your daily routine, the schedule, your work schedule, the projects you want to take on are very much so in alignment with where they need to be and meeting your proper ideal. On the 15th, also a very busy day. We have, first of all, got a full moon happening at 23 degrees of Gemini, and that's going to light up your 9th house space. But at the same time, we're also going to have Mercury coming direct there in that 3rd house. So energetically, this is just a very busy, very pronounced kind of day. And as the full moon is happening here, it's asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. You need to pivot from something that you started about 2 years ago, okay? So in the energy of Gemini, maybe this is an educational thing that you're needing to make a decision. You need to pick the plan. The 9th house is publishing, marketing, broadcasting, higher education, travel, different languages. Some things are legal as well. So whatever it is, it's like you're bringing some kind of closure or making a pivot to the conversations or the decisions that have been happening in this area of your life. Now, Mercury coming direct this day does help to bring a bit more clarity. And I think the clarity that Mercury can offer in here is not just new information. You've had this review, right? But it's new information that allows you to be clear on what you believe, why you believe it and why you need to have that under your belt to establish the goal, right? What is your goal? If I believe these things over here, then my goal of what I want to achieve is this over here. How will I go about it? So use this lunation in the next couple weeks to complete, let go of, transfer if you need to, any outdated beliefs that are not working, and just reflect on how you have this new knowledge and it's influencing your perspective at this particular moment. Now, when we get to the 21st, we are going to be celebrating a solstice. Now, just depending on where you are in the world, if you're in the north, we're doing the winter solstice. And if you're our friends who are down south, you are going to be bringing in your summer solstice. Either way, happy solstice to all of our astro family involved. And we're also saying happy birthday to the Capricorn area of your chart. For you, Libra, this lights up the 4th house space of home, family, real estate, property, your roots, things having to do with your parents. So as the sun blows into Capricorn here, it encourages stability. This is the time of the year where stability is so highly encouraged, and tradition within your home, tradition within your family. So it's a really powerful time, first of all, for, yes, you can make any kind of home improvements, right? If you really did need to renovate the bathroom or finish a project or something like that, this bringing structure kind of Capricorn energy could definitely speak to that. But it's also a really brilliant season for bonding and family bonding and what that needs to look like. And we'll get more in depth with this, and I think solidify the deal more with the new moon that we're going to have in just a couple days. But first, on the 29th, we have got Chiron coming direct in the vibration of Aries. Now, this lights up for you, Libra, your 7th house space, because, of course, it's right across the street in that opposing energy. Now, as Chiron has been traveling in its retrograde form, it's been doing a lot to bring our attention to the wounded healer, the wound of the identity in particular, right? So it's about, who am I? Who am I allowed to be? What am I allowed to say that I want? Where am I allowed to let me end and you begin? These kinds of energies. But also in the 7th house, the influences in relationships and partnerships and where we make commitments there. Conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationships. So, I think that you have likely experienced pain in your partnerships, and not just because you're a Libra, but because this is the 7th house, right? But this transit has offered clarity. It has offered healing, allowing you to form relationships from a more balanced and secure place. The South Node has also been blowing through Libra. So this place where you've had maybe insecurities or vulnerabilities, and you felt like in your partnerships that there wasn't really the balance that you were looking for there, Chiron's motion forward is going to encourage you to embrace that vulnerability now. Now it helps you become more open and more honest, especially with your loved ones, right? And this, of course, is going to take us deeper. And when we go deeper, we can find more fulfilling connections. Our partners and us in our partnerships, we feel more respected, like there's more equity. So, in general, as you're looking at this, by embracing that Chiron energy, it's also you saying, I am not just stuck in the wound anymore. The wound of my identity has been healed. I have access to a more authentic version of myself to bring into my relationships and to support those supportive connections. So I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you get the perspective of seeing how you've changed and how this is really we're going to bring something delicious into your life and into your relationships, because you're not so afraid of the vulnerability anymore. Now, as we are going to close out this month on the 30th, we have got the next new moon that is happening in Capricorn. And this is, of course, lighting up that 4th house space. Now, as this is the second new moon of the month, but it is not wrapped in the retrograde vibration, this is a really neat place, Libra, where, first of all of the exploration and expansion of exploration that you were open to as the new moon came at the beginning of the month, but you more so had to review it. Now you can take that review, take that expanded excitefulness, and you can put a plan to it, okay? The new moon here in Capricorn is going to ask you to plant your seeds of intention, but they need to have practical intentions, right? practical goals, and they're all around your home life. So whether you're looking to have more stability in your home, like literally you need to finish the bathroom so that the structures of your home are in better shape, or you feel like you want stability within your home, within your relationships, whatever it is that you want stability and to plan for your future, this new moon is ideal for building that secure foundation and to take on the commitment and the responsibility of being committed to helping it grow as you're moving forward. So it's a lot of bringing what you've learned together to create a committed path and plan to really have the outlook that you like around your foundations in your life and in your world. All right, my absolutely beautiful Libras, I hope you have a gorgeous month. Please let me know how it's going for you in the comment section down below. Thank you again for letting me travel 2024 with you. I look forward to seeing you every day on Instagram with your transit updates. Of course, every week, every month here on YouTube as well. I love you. Have a great rest of 2024. Beautiful Scorpio friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, the last calendar month. We will travel together in 2024. And Scorpio, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me travel with you in 2024, whether we've been together the entire year or this is our first time getting together. I just want to say that I really greatly appreciate you. Now let's jump in here and talk about this month, because we've got a little bit of a money month on our hands. We've got Sagittarius season, which always brings about a reflection into your finances. Now, we've also got this month 3 moons. 2 of those moons are going to be new moons. So there is this signature of things moving forward, but not until we get a little bit closer to the end of the month. We're also coming in at the beginning of the month with Mercury in retrograde and heading into one of your ruling planets, Mars, stepping into its retrograde as well. So we are coming into December with our foot on the gas a little bit, our foot and our brains a little bit stepping on that gas. So there is a bit of reflection in the beginning, and then we'll see how the month rolls us forward. So let's just start at the top, Scorpio. On the first, we've got a new moon happening in Sagittarius. Now, this is also where we're going to see Mercury being retrograde, but this lights up your second house of money, value, self-worth, possessions. So this particular lunation is really encouraging to plant your seeds of intention around not only your financial growth, but also your material security as well. And with Sagittarius expansive energy, the invitation is to think big, right? Think big. It's whether you're thinking about, oh, I just want to boost my income, I want to go out and learn to make a little bit extra, because in the second house, this is how we go out and we earn our money. Or you want to explore different opportunities to make the money that you have, or maybe another asset that you have, work harder. Or you're just like, I want to align my financial life with something that's more important to my deep values at this time. This lunation is going to highlight that, because it's also going to highlight your sense of self-worth. So you're going to be looking at under this as well, or you have the opportunity to recognize like what things really have that intrinsic value to you now, and how is that showing up through you into the material world. So this lunation is really an ideal time to ask, I think, whether your financial life and your possessions life truly supports who you are and how you reflect on yourself. However, with Mercury retrograde, this lunation is not just about planting your seeds of intention to begin something new. Instead, you are initiating a new financial cycle here, but you're revisiting first. You have to review. Since Mercury is retrograde, you're revisiting, redefining, reviewing plans and goals and strategies that you maybe already have on the table. You're also relooking at your relationship with money, your relationship with the things that you have. Are they enhancing your self-worth? Are they a distraction? So there's a lot of those kinds of questions that are going to be up for review as we're experiencing this lunation. Now, while you're thinking big about this, remember that while you're in revision here, by the time we get to the end of the month, you take this expansive view of what you learned, and the Capricorn lunation will help you move that thing forward, which is always really good news. Now, just behind that, on the 6th, we're going to see that Mars, one of your ruling planets, is going to step into its retrograde in the vibration of Leo. Now, this is going to light up your 10th house space, Scorpio, okay? Now, first of all, a Mars retrograde, because it is a personal planet, it's close to us, so we feel it. We feel when Mars goes retrograde, right? It is a very noticeable set of energy that it's like, hold on, something has literally changed pace, or the pace of something that I've been engaging with, or something that I've even desired to engage with has changed pace. Now, Mars also being about your drive, what you're driven by, because what we're driven by will make us take action. So in the Mars retrograde here, you're taking a step back to, first of all, review your aspirations, review your ambitions. In the 10th house, this is the house of the career. It's also the house of your public image. So what we call you in public, whether that be, what reputation, what name enters the room, Scorpio, before you do. Do we call you teacher? Do we call you astrologer? Do we call you mom, dad, wife, husband, senator? What do we call you? So you're going to be reviewing that as well. And anything in your back pocket that has to do with your long-term goals, plans, and designs. Now, if you have not watched the video that I did with Nicholas Polymenakis on the Mars and Cancer, where we also covered Mars and Leo and the entire retrograde, because this is a long story. This is going to take us all the way until February. I will put this video at the end of this video so that you can check that out, okay? But Mars retrograde here in the 10th is going to bring you to a place of introspection about all of these areas, your professional goals, the actions you have taken to achieve your professional goals. Maybe during Mars retrograde, you even find yourself questioning your current career path because you're like, does this align with my authentic desires, with my authentic values, and the needs of my life at this time, right? So it is time, I think, to really reflect on the names that we call you in public, whether you're pursuing them or whether you're carrying that name genuinely because it resonates with you, or because you are simply chasing something external validation, societal expectations, right? Now, Mars is still Mars. So Mars can bring a real frustration. First of all, we know frustrations and delays are really the thing, but this can bring frustration and delays into your career matters as well. So if you've been feeling stuck, or you've been feeling like at work, or maybe you're dealing with a government agency, you're doing unemployment, workman's comp, something like that. If you've been feeling like you're dissatisfied, overlooked, this opportunity, first of all, will give you an opportunity to practice looking twice and leaping once, because you don't want to make rash decisions, because typically during a Mars retrograde, if you start a new fight, you're not necessarily the one to win it. But instead, you can look twice, leap once, and also understand what's at the root of why you are feeling that way, what's driving you. So rather than taking that impulsive action, leaping and pushing forward, you get to pause and reassess your next move so that you're moving forward as a leader in your own life with a lot of clarity, okay? Now, on the 7th, it's a bit of a busy day because we've got, first of all, Venus stepping into the vibration of Aquarius, and this is here on the 7th. Now, as Venus steps into Aquarius, we actually like that at the end of the year because it's a bit more of a social time, and Venus in Aquarius is naturally kind of a social energy. So as it lights up your 4th house space, Venus is looking to bring a bit more harmony. Venus is like, let me make this place great. Let me make it beautiful. Let's have some harmony over here. So in your 4th house of home, property, real estate, family, your roots, all things domestic and family matters, Venus is going to bring a harmony here. And it also brings a harmony to individuality as that speaks to family matters, right? So you're like, no, I am a part of this family, but I also, I have my own individual perspective, or I respect the individual perspectives of my family members. And that always smooths things over a little bit, right? It's also a good time for, with Venus in the home space, if you wanted to decorate or redecorate or do the things that make you feel like you are connected to some kind of tradition or unique family tradition. You're like, this is what my family does, or this is what I do at this time of the year. Venus here is going to be really delicious to help you participate in that. Now, on the same day, we see Neptune coming direct, and this is going to light up your 5th house space. Now, Neptune coming direct in general is going to bring some clarity, right? It clears up confusion that has been happening around things with children, things with love and romance, joy, pleasure, play, self-expression, anything that has this artistic, expressive kind of vision, these things start to get cleared up. And what I would really encourage you to do with Neptune direct now is, first of all, trust your intuition and trust your creative instincts, right? Open yourself up. Open yourself up for possibilities here, Scorpio. And I know that's not always your favorite thing to hear, right? But this is a time you can open yourself up, because the possibilities of what are available in terms of good things and new opportunities coming to you are vast. And that includes, I think, for many of you, romance. Healing from things around your parents, right? Around you being the child of your parents and needing to have a release, having a forgiveness, having a surrender. Things with children in your life, you know, whether that's that you have your own children, or maybe you were fostering children, or you worked in a school, or you taught art at a children's center. Things around children, there's a lot more clarity that I think comes to the table with this energy. The 15th is another very busy day, very, very busy day, very energetically heavy, because not only do we have the full moon that is happening in Gemini at 23 degrees, which will light up your 8th house, and you're naturally an 8th house kind of vibration. So this particular lunation is, first of all, going to ask you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. You need to shift and pivot in some way. But Mercury is also stationing direct on this day. So this is a lot of energy happening on this day. So the full moon in the 8th house of joint resources, intimacy, which means you see intimacy. So sex, reproduction, healing, deep soul connections, astrology, therapy, right? In the 8th house, this full moon is going to be like a Gemini. It's going to ask you to bring closure to financial, emotional bonds, deep conversations. It's going to ask you to make the decision to clear out the old debts, whether they be karmic, financial, emotional, or otherwise. And so you're using this moon to pivot away from what is no longer serving you and another who's in partnership with this lunation. Mercury's direct motion on this day, I think, also helps to bring some clarity to anything that has been a misunderstanding, right? Mercury's traveling over here in Gemini. So and Sagittarius, excuse me. So it's really giving this space where it's like, hold on, you might actually be getting a lot of clarity around old financial or old value matters. And there's a sense of peace that can come through it, but it will likely involve a fair amount of communication. You need to talk it through. Okay, when we get to the 21st, we are going to be celebrating a solstice. Depending on where you live will depend on which solstice you are experiencing, but the sun will move into Capricorn. So we are at the beginning of a new season. And as the sun shifts into Capricorn, the focus comes to practical matters. And for you, lighting up this 3rd house space, it's practical matters around communication. How do you communicate? How do you share information? How do you learn? What contracts need to be signed? You know, I also think that Capricorn is really strong at setting boundaries. So it may be a time where you are setting boundaries, or you're putting more structure around things so that you can have boundaries around your time, around your energy. You're becoming more disciplined in how you share your time, your energy, your thoughts, your connections, your work. I do think that for some of you as well, this will be the time where you decide to launch that business. You go really full in with it, or launch that course, or write that book. It's like a sharing of some kind of information, but you'll need to bring in the discipline to make that happen. On the 29th, we see Chiron coming direct, and this is going to be in the vibration of Aries. And this will light up your 6th house space, Scorpio. Okay, as Chiron is, first of all, had its travel in Aries, it's been a lot about working on the wound of the identity for absolutely all of us. Who I am, who I've been told I'm allowed to be, who I'm afraid to be, the questions I have about, am I allowed to be that person, right? So there's been a lot of that. And as Chiron has been traveling here for you in this 6th house space of your daily routines, it's been about your health, things related, to your head, things related to your work, your wellness, your schedule. Okay, so as your daily habits have been under review here with Chiron, one of the things you can know is that what you've been working on are any insecurities that you've had around work, around your health, around cultivating balanced routines for yourself. Any of that has been under review. And as Chiron comes direct, it helps you, I think, Scorpio, to address any feelings of self-doubt, inadequacy, not enoughness that have shown up for you in the area of your actual workplace or around work. If you've struggled with any kind of self-worth in your professional life, this transit, this coming direct, I think really supports that shift towards having a greater confidence and an acceptance of, first of all, what you do, what you have done, and if there's an honest area where you need improvement. Now, this also plays a huge, huge part because Chiron's not just the wound, that gaping wound. We get an opportunity as it's direct to see where we've also got the healing. So any health concerns or old patterns related to health, self-care, needing healthier routines, those are going to come to light. They have come to light, and you can implement like a better, healthier routine for yourself. So Chiron direct here becomes that space of not just the wound, but the healer, right? Where it's like, this is an invitation to adopt a compassionate approach to your health, to focusing on what truly nourishes and sustains you now, not you in the past. Maybe you used to be a little gym rat and today you are not. And you'll also have the support and the encouragement to create routines that I think not only support you physically, but emotionally as well. So, with this energy moving forward, I really want to invite you to let go of these tendencies if they are showing up towards self-criticism, towards perfectionism, and just find a routine that brings a sense of balance and peace to you. Even if nobody else likes it, you like it. That's who it matters, right? All right, as we're going to close out the month, we have got this new moon happening in Capricorn. And so we're thinking back, first of all, to the beginning of the month where we have that new moon in Sagittarius. And this was more of a reviewing energy, right? This was just so much more of the review. And you had to get a bigger picture and a bigger idea, especially around things around your finances. But now as this new moon is happening to take us out of the month, we get an opportunity to set seeds of intention that are realistic. They are structured. They are related to learning and engaging new information, learning and engaging new networks, like putting yourself and your immediate surrounding, your network, letting that be in places that actually encourage you in a practical way to grow all of these things that you planted at that new moon. You said at that Sagittarius new moon, but this is going to call in Capricorn's help, right? Where you have to be disciplined, you have to be goal-oriented to bring that energy practically about. So where can you really, I think, dig into this new moon, especially in your third house space, is that because this moon governs so much about how you communicate, set some communication goals. In 6 months, what do you want this to look like? How do you express yourself, both in writing, in how you speak, in how your body language is showing up? This new moon is an excellent time to plant your seeds of intention for clarity, effectiveness, structure. Whether you're aiming to really be an articulate speaker or you to start speaking about something, maybe Gemini, you want to learn to be a better listener. Maybe you want to be a more thoughtful writer. This transit supports setting those practical steps towards like having the enhancement and the growth of those particular skills. Some of you may be learning or teaching a course. Some of you want to build stronger connections. Some of you want to look at the your mental connections, especially as they relate to your body, right? So there's a lot of opportunity at this particular routine for you to really dig in and plant your seeds of intention of this communication, but knowing that it's going to be practical. They're going to be bite-sized, achievable steps to get you to the goals because you're going to set a strong foundation with this, and that you'll ultimately be able to be successful because you are the one making the plan. All right, my beautiful Scorpio friends, I hope you have a gorgeous rest of 2024. I look forward to seeing you every day on Instagram. I will see you every week and every month right here on YouTube. And I can't wait to see you in all of my classes as well. Have a great 2024, Scorpio. Hello, my beautiful Sagittarius friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, our last calendar month to travel together. And happy, happy birthday, absolutely beautiful friends who are on the side of that Sagittarian birthday cusp. I hope you're having a great season. We've got a lot of energy happening in your sign this month. So let's jump in here and talk about it. First of all, starting off at the beginning of the month on the 1st, we've got a new moon in Sagittarius in your first house. So this is like your birthday moon. Okay, that's awesome. Now, at the same time, we want to keep in mind that we're coming into this month with Mercury retrograde in your sign as well, so the communication could still be a little bit choppy. Now, this new moon is your chance to plant your seeds of intention to begin something new because it brings an opportunity for you here for personal reinvention, right? It's the time to set your seeds of intention around self-discovery, confidence, how you present yourself to the world. It encourages you to be that adventurous, beautiful version of yourself. Have that optimistic outlook. There's been a lot of growth that's been going on. So, remember that this is just a powerful time for you to redefine your identity. Have this fresh start. Focus on what's authentic about you now, today, your personal growth. Where have you grown from? What have you grown into? It's a beautiful energy. However, Mercury being retrograde at the same time in the same house does slow down, I think, that reflection process just a little bit. Because it's going to ask you to, first of all, continue to review, be more in a review. You're planting your seeds of intention to begin this new identity, but you're having to do it in the space of a review of your identity, right? You're still in a fair amount of introspection. Now there's emotional introspection that I think is here. How do you perceive yourself? How are others perceiving you? So this is a great time to revisit old ideas about your self-expression and examine or redefine the strategies you've been using to define yourself and see if they are really in alignment. And if not, reassess your goals, ensure that where you want to get, you're using steps that are going to get you actions to be able to get there. Now, I think it'll be easier at the end of the month, Sagittarius, to bring these things to fruition with the new moon in Capricorn's help. So we'll get to that. On the 6th, we have got Mars stepping into its retrograde in the vibration of Leo. Now, if you've not watched the video that I did with Nicholas Palomanakis, where we talked about Mars and Cancer, but we also covered Mars in Leo and the Mars retrograde cycle, because this is a long story. It's going to take us all the way until February. So if you haven't watched that, I'll make sure it's at the end of this video, okay? But as Mars is going to take its retrograde in Leo, this is going to light up the 9th house space for you. So this is going to encourage you to reevaluate your approach to learning, to your belief system and your philosophies, to things having to do with travel. As Mars goes retrograde, especially because it's a personal planet, you may feel less driven to pursue these new knowledges, this new exciting travel, to go on these new adventures and journeys, right? And instead, you're more in a space of reflecting of, okay, what actually inspires me? Like, where would I want to go if I could choose a place? But it needs to come from a place that actually inspires me to do that. So the real impact, I think, that you're going to be able to experience, now this is going to travel between both the 8th and the 9th house spaces for you, right? But as we're looking at it here, you're going to have an opportunity to reassess, first of all, any long-term visions and philosophies that you've been working with. On other ways, I think, Sag, you're going to be looking at if you've been doing things where you're pushing yourself too hard to expand your horizons, to be that Sagittarius energy, in quotes, you may need to step back and reconsider whether the things that you are pursuing are really in alignment with your deep truths. So I would just invite you to reflect on your beliefs, reflect on your educational and your travel goals, right? Slow down, allow yourself time to digest and to experience your past experiences, especially those related to learning, travel, philosophies, beliefs. You have a time to reassess those before you jump out on your new adventures, okay? On the 7th, it's a busy day. First of all, we've got Venus moving into the vibration of Aquarius, and this lights up your 3rd house space. So Venus in Aquarius at this time of the year is really great, actually, because Aquarius is a social energy and Venus wants nothing but pleasure and ease. So they do go together quite well. So as Venus enters your 3rd house here, first of all, we have this enhancement of communication. It's going to enhance and bring more harmony, more creativity, more ease to your social interactions and any kind of communication that you're really trying to put out. Also, I think that in the Aquarian way, Venus here paired with that Aquarian vibration makes your conversations more interesting because you might not be talking about the same old, right? So your conversations are more interesting. They're more engaged in a way. Now, we also think in the third house about things that have to do with your community, especially your local community members, your neighbors, your cousins, siblings live in this third house space as well. So more conversation with them may be pleasant. Maybe you're feeling a bit more drawn to express yourself more independently, more creatively, or even seeing people in their own uniqueness in a way that just feels a bit easier. So what I would really encourage you to do is use this Venus transit to, first of all, yay for you if there is some finance coming your direction, because maybe you're writing that book, you're teaching that course, you're sharing something that you've uniquely created. Use this time to strengthen that communication skill, strengthen that communication network, engage your community, engage your siblings, take a course if you need to, whatever it is that's going to be this space of gently, beautifully creating a harmony and a new level of value around all of your mental and communication gear. Now, on the same day, we're going to see that Neptune comes direct in the vibration of Pisces, and this lights up your fourth house space. Now, first and foremost, Neptune coming direct is going to bring clarity. Where there has been a lack of clarity in your home, family, real estate, property, the things you've considered to be your foundations, stories that you have about what have been your foundations, Neptune coming direct brings clarity to this fourth house area. Now, truly, that Neptune retrograde time, it may have blurred the lines between where you see your emotional foundations. And so as Neptune comes direct here, I think it helps you reconnect with your intuition. I think it helps you reconnect with your family, reconnect with ideas of your mother, reconnect with places where you feel like you need to feel more secure. It's really a time that this particular retrograde, especially because Neptune has already gotten to that 29 degrees of Pisces, I think that it's been a real time for you, Sagittarius, of healing and deepening your understanding of your home, of your family relationships, things with your mother, places in the family zone or the home zone where you might be finding it easier now that Neptune is direct to navigate anything that felt confusing or like there was a misunderstanding or you had even clouds over your eyes. So I just want to encourage you here, Sagittarius, trust your instinct about what creates a nurturing and safe, supportive home life for you, even if it looks very different to what you were thinking 6 months ago, okay? Consider if there are practices that you can bring into your life that will enhance not only your own emotional security, but also emotional bonding, especially within your family. Do you need to make that phone call to your family, once a week? Because maybe you're doing it once a month now, and that's not really creating a bond. You're feeling a separation. You're not feeling as tied in and secure. Look at where you can also participate in creating something really beautiful and strong for yourself as well. Okay, on the 15th, another very, very busy day. First of all, we've got the full moon happening at 23 degrees of Gemini. And of course, this is lighting up your seventh house space, your partnership sector. So right across the street. But we've also got Mercury coming direct in your sign. So let's break this down. But it is an energetically busy day. First of all, the full moon in this seventh house is asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment because it's going to illuminate all things in relationships, but it's conscious, chosen one-on-one relationships. You know who you're participating with and any place where you have partnerships. So it's a time for culmination or some kind of completion or a pivot, if you'd like to say it that way, in your one-on-one connection. So, there's a lot of insight that you might have gained into relationship dynamics. And this helps you, Sagittarius, understand, okay, what's working, what's not working, what needs adjustment, what is just done. Right? These are things that maybe are coming to a pivot and a culmination. However, Mercury coming direct in your sign, I think helps with clarity here. You find it easier, Sagittarius, to articulate your thoughts, to express what's authentically you. And this alignment is also this day going to really, I think, support resolving any misunderstandings in your relationships so that you can not only move forward, but you're moving forward with confidence. And I do think that this is personal. This is professional. This is you and a higher power. And in its own way, this is also going to involve your family members as well. So use this lunation, use this day to communicate openly in your conscious chosen relationships, right? And have a reflection on any kind of recent revelations, epiphanies that you've had around partnerships, especially in where you can take steps or steps can be taken to enhance mutual benefit in these connections, okay? All right, when we get to the 21st, we've got the sun moving into Capricorn, of course, lighting up your second house space, and it is also the solstice. Depending on where you live, you're either doing some winter solstice or you're doing some summer solstice, but happy solstice to the Capricorn area of your chart because we are again at a new season, a beginning. And as the sun moves here into your second house, you're going to start to be more second house, it moves into. And as the sun moves in here to your second house, you are going to be more financially motivated, right? Just like at the beginning of the month, you were thinking about, okay, how do I want to redefine myself? How do I want to define my image? How do I want to define how I'm showing up or showing myself in the world? Well, some of that has to do with also, what are you doing with your money? How are you feeling about the work that you're doing? Are you creating long-term structures for yourself in this way? So it's a really kind of interesting dynamic as we have this new moon here, and it pulls this seeds of intention planting around values, money, self-worth, but it is in a Capricorn way. It's about financial stability. It's about how you use your personal resources. It's about long-term self-esteem. And also in Capricorn, everything you were saying at the beginning of the month that you wanted, Capricorn's discipline is going to help you be disciplined, first of all, but also be goal-oriented to take a committed long-term approach to building your money, building this area of your life, building financial stability, enhancing your self-worth, really getting clarification on your personal values, what's most important to you. And this really could, Sagittarius, it could be down to you are having a whole reassessment of your material possessions, your lifestyles, your priorities, all of it, where you're like, okay, long term, is this sustainable? So what I'm going to encourage you to do here is just set practical goals. Be practical, easiest steps to take are going to be the best, but set easy, practical goals, especially financial goals. Reassess your relationship with money. Focus on anything that can help you build that long-term self-worth and self-esteem, okay? Now, here are a couple things that I was noticing too as challenges that I want to bring to your attention to just pay attention to. First of all, please avoid the unevolved Capricorn behaviors of over perfectionism, because this will absolutely lead to frustration in your progress. It'll make you feel like the progress is going even slower. You're not doing enough. You know, remember that if you're building financial or personal security, it's actually quite a gradual process. Even if the money or the opportunities flow to you, focus on being steady, making these incremental improvements, and also balancing the thing that you're building with your own emotional needs, right? You want to ensure that your goals also support, Sagittarius, your inner sense of security, your inner sense of fulfillment, and not just these external things. So I want you to just know that this lunation, as we're closing out the month, really sets the stage for you to build some long-term stability for yourself in the realm of personal growth, esteem, finances, but everything that you've probably been asking for or calling in since the beginning of the month. All right, my beautiful Sagittarian friends, I hope you have a gorgeous rest of your birthday. Enjoy the rest of 2024. Stay tuned here for your 2025 annual horoscope coming to you from 5 expert astrologers in their individual fields. And I cannot wait to walk through 2025 with you. Bye, Sag. Absolutely beautiful Capricorn friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, our last calendar month of 2024 to travel together. And guess what? Someone's having a birthday. It's you. Happy birthday, beautiful Capricorn friends. And thank you so much for letting me travel all of 2024 with you, even if we are just meeting right now. I just want to offer you a beautiful thank you. And now settle in and let's talk about what December has to offer for you, because yes, it is birthday time, but we are going to finish up some things in the 12th house space first. So just knowing that we are coming into December with a little bit of the mental brakes on, and then very quickly we're going to put some physical brakes on. So there is time. That's really what I want to tell you. And I know as a Capricorn, you're like, there's no time. There is time. There is time to get everything done, but we do need to ease into it just a little bit, okay? As we're starting out the month on the 1st, we've got a new moon in Sagittarius lighting up your 12th house space. Now we've also got Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius at the same time. So the mental energy, the clarity of communication, it's challenged a bit as we're coming in. So at this new moon through the 12th house, it's giving you an opportunity to plant your seeds of intention, and encourages you to look at really deep introspection, where you want to plant your seeds of intention for spiritual growth, emotional healing, working on and releasing old patterns, embracing solitude when you need it, right? Letting yourself calm down, connecting with your and subconscious mind. Now, Sagittarian energy is very optimistic. It invites you to explore this big spiritual space, the spiritual philosophies, maybe even practices that broaden your horizons, broaden your worlds. But the thing is with Mercury retrograde at the same time, you're planting your seeds of intention off of plans and goals that you already have. And it's asking you to reflect, right? You're revisiting things that are already on your table, plans that are already on your table. You're revisiting past emotional issues, hidden fears, unresolved thoughts, current spiritual practices, and you're asking yourself, is this in alignment with where I want to go moving forward? Is this plan solid, or does it need a revision? So it's really a powerful lunation where you're not launching forward at warp Sagittarius speed. Instead, you're gaining clarity on what you already have and the subconscious patterns that are maybe influencing your behavior and stopping you from moving forward. So I would really encourage you at this moon, Capricorn, use it as a time of journaling, meditation, do some therapy. I would avoid at this particular lunation making any major decisions, because the insights that you're getting are still being formed. They're still being formed. Instead, look at how you can have more of that inner clarity, more of that emotional release, so that as we get to the end of the month and you're ready to put a structure and a practical plan together to really achieve the goodness that you're looking for, you will be set and ready. Okay, on the 6th, we see Mars stepping into its retrograde in Leo, and this is going to light up your 8th house space. Now, first and foremost, if you have not watched the video I did with Nicholas Palomanakis, where we talked about Mars in Cancer, and we also covered Mars in Leo, moving all the way through the Mars retrograde cycle, because this story is going to take us until February. So it's a very long story. So you want to be informed and prepared. I'm going to put that video at the end of this video so that you have it, okay? Now, as Mars is going to go retrograde in your 8th house, it's going to invite you to a deep review of how you handle intimacy. Intimacy, you see into me, right? The deep, vulnerable stuff, the sex, your reproductive organs, the trust in your relationships. How do you handle shared resources? How are you doing with detox? How are you doing with transformation? This transit is likely going to be very Martian. Pull up, go take action on past wounds, unresolved issues around that trust, those financial entanglements that you've got, debt, right? Deep emotional growth, mysticism. Mars here is going to apply the healing fire needed to cauterize the wound. But first, what it can feel like as we slow our energy down because our planet of action goes retrograde is that it feels like everything is slowing down. You feel that slowdown in your joint connections, those joint financial ventures and resources. There's maybe more intense emotional exchanges. Just remember that this is a time to reflect on how you share power and resources experiences with others. And it's a time to consider, first of all, reconsider your emotional connections and boundaries with other people. Because if it's not right, or there's some kind of poison that needs to be detoxed, a Mars retrograde is actually quite good for burning away the poison. Now, a tip I have for you, or something that I think about in this particular area. First of all, if you can avoid making really significant financial decisions, of course, based on your chart, or resist initiating any really deep emotional commitments unless it is something that has already been on your table. If you've been thinking about going to sex therapy, or already have been thinking about taking that astrology class, or couples counseling, right? Debt counseling. If you've already had that in your vicinity and you want to make that commitment, that's great. But if something new presents itself, I would just wait a bit. Instead, I would be focusing on understanding your emotional and your financial needs. What is motivating you to take on the commitment that you are taking on, so that as you work towards healing this area, you're doing it from a place of inner empowerment instead of obligation, okay? Now, on the 7th, a bit of a busy day. We've got Venus shifting into the vibration of Aquarius. This is going to light up your second house space. So we're bringing our attention to finances, and Venus likes finances. Venus likes finances, also likes personal value, also likes self-worth. So this is a really great position to see Venus moving into and calling its influence into this area of your chart. Now, in the Aquarian vibration, we're going to see the influence really encouraging you to be more innovative in this area of your chart. Think a bit more about what are some unconventional approaches to managing money? You're reassessing what you've already got going, or maybe something that you value the most, and you're being asked to explore looking at it from a different position. Explore creative ways. Venus is incredibly creative as an energy. So explore creative ways to boost your income, or reassess second house, your relationships with people, with your material possessions, with how you earn money, your self-worth. And really what you're looking to do is focus on aligning yourself with a financial and a value life that is in alignment with your own personal values. And Venus enhances your ability, when you get clarity here, to really attract those resources to you very quickly, very steadily, but also in a way where you and others can appreciate the unique talents that you bring to the table that bring those resources to you. It's a beautiful energy. On the same day, we see Neptune coming direct in Pisces, lighting up your third house space. So first of all, Neptune coming direct is going to bring a sense of clarity, right? Like, it's going to clear up some confusion, or maybe if I can say it, ambiguity around anything having to do with communication, learning. Maybe you wanted to take a course, you wanted to teach a course, you wanted to write a book. Maybe there's been some weirdness, some lack of clarity with your relationship with your siblings, your neighbors, your neighborhood, right? Anything that you may have felt unclear about, or like you were feeling very idealistic about something during Neptune's retrograde. Now you're getting more clarity on it. So you're able to see, as Neptune comes direct now and heads back to that 29 degrees of Pisces, how you can move forward with the new clarity that's been shown to you. So how can you bring more clarity to your communication, to anything intellectual, to your networks that you are surrounding yourself with? Because this transit really supports not only creative thinking, Neptune is very creative as well, but I think intuitive learning, compassionate dialogue, compassionate learning with those who are especially in your immediate environment. Now, when we get to the 15th, this is another very busy day because we've got the full moon happening in Gemini, which is going to light up your 6th house space, but we've also got Mercury coming direct in Sagittarius, of course, in that 12th house space. So first of all, the full moon is asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, and it's going to be in your 6th house, your health, including your mental health and wellness. How do you talk to you? What's going on in your head? But your routines that are a part of your daily habit, are they healthy? Your routines in your work life will also be called into some review here. So the full moon, as it's asking you to create a pivot or to acknowledge something, I think it brings this sense of culmination, maybe even clarity around not only your habits, around what you do for some kind of wellness routine. For my entrepreneurs, projects at work, you may find yourself doing practical things. You're completing a course, you're completing a project, you're completing a wellness training or something like that. But there's this sense of conversation that needs to happen as well. It's very mentally connected here. And Mercury coming direct in Sagittarius, although it's the 12th house, I think it's going to help alleviate any inner confusion that has also been creating a mental confusion for you as well. Or you have more access to like subconscious insights that the retrograde period helped you see. And now you're like, oh, I've literally had a block to going to the gym because I've been thinking about fill in the blank thing, right? So being able to communicate now the hidden matters that have likely become a bit more resolved during the retrograde brings more clarity. So I would just really encourage you to use this full moon, of course, to release any unhealthy routines that you've got going. Embrace some different habits and practices that actually support well-being on a daily basis, but also open up to yourself or maybe others. Maybe you're finding that personal trainer and you're having to open up and go, okay, listen, I've had this whole realization about why I don't want to work out, or I've been having this realization that I'm not just having, one or two bad days. I'm actually struggling mentally or physically, and I need some help and support. So I encourage you to just have that opening. All right, when we get to the 21st, we have got the solstice, and that means it is birthday time for you, beautiful. The sun moves into Capricorn, lighting up your first house space. Strong focus on you, your personal goals for the year, how you present yourself to yourself, how you regard yourself to the world, your own self-awareness. So this is the time, as the sun is here, Capricorn, to first of all, enjoy your birthday time, but take the lead here. Take the lead. You are a cardinal energy. So in a very grounded, practical way, how can you take the lead in shaping your own identity, shaping the direction you would like your life to go and unfold in, right? You are disciplined. You've got that disciplined, encouraging, responsibility, being ambitious kind of energy, and it is nothing to be looked down on. So if you're feeling this surge of confidence around birthday time, you're feeling a bit more determination to achieve your personal goals, this is the time. Do it. This is your annual review of your year, so set your intentions, set your goals to support what you want for yourself long term, but really focus on your own personal aspirations and how you can take concrete steps to making them happen. Don't let this be the aspirations of the world. What is it that you want? We'll get a little bit more solid on that as we get to the new moon. But first, on the 29th, we've got Chiron coming direct in Aries, and this is lighting up your fourth house space. So as Chiron has been retrograde, things having to do with home, family, real estate, property, your emotional foundations, your mother, these kinds of things. You've been working through your identity around the past wounds, right? You're getting connected to your upbringing, to your family dynamics, to roots that have shaped your identity in your life. And as Chiron comes direct, I think it brings forward not so much the wounded part of Chiron, but the healing energy that is related to your home and to your family. So now is the time, as Chiron is going to go back to traveling direct, where you integrate those lessons you've learned from your past. What have you learned about emotional security? What have you learned about family relationships? And now you can approach this whole area, home and domestic matters, with, first of all, a greater understanding, but I think more compassion. Right? Because when Chiron moves from the wound to the teacher to the healing space, it is done with compassionate understanding. So use this transit and the months and the days coming forward to create, first of all, a nurturing home environment for yourself. Work on strengthening what you call home. Work on strengthening those family bonds with whomever you call family. Focus on the emotional healing and what has come to you now, how you can use the information and experiences to establish that stability, that inner foundation that is stable and strong and lets you bend but not break as you continue to travel the world in your family dynamics. Okay, as we're going to close out this month, we've got the last new moon happening in Capricorn, lighting up your first house, presenting this invitation to plant your seeds of intention around your personal growth, around, again, how you look, how you present yourself to the world. And you are such a beautiful, disciplined energy. And you are supported at this new moon to create a solid plan. Create a plan for achieving your goals, for embracing your authentic self, right? It's really an ideal time for any kind of personal reinvention or growth that you wanted to take on, or if you wanted to start a new project, or you want to make a commitment to something because you have a long-term aspiration about it. This is the new moon that encourages you to do it, but to also remember that as you commit to it and you make this plan, you're going to need to, yes, bring the structure, but there's patience and dedication that is going to need to come into your reality as well. And you have to give yourself grace. So if you want to set your seeds of intention, do it with realistic, achievable goals that align with what is really real for you now, today, Capricorn, okay? And then focus on developing those habits and those routines because they will support the success that you are looking for. All right, my beautiful Capricorn friends, enjoy your birthday time. I am thinking of you. Thank you for traveling 2024 with me. Stay tuned for your 2025 horoscopes broken down by 5 brilliant experts, getting you through each department of life for 2025. Hello, my beautiful Aquarius friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, where Aquarius, this is the last calendar month we will be traveling together, which is just absolutely wild. So I just want to take a minute to say thank you so much for letting me travel with you throughout 2024. Even if this is the first time we are meeting, welcome. Beautiful to have you, and thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. Now let's get in here, Aquarius, and see what is going on as we are breaking down December. First of all, we want to keep in mind that as we are coming in this month, Mercury, our planet of the mind, decision-making, communication, is still in retrograde until we get about mid-month. So this is going to have a pretty big impact on the month. It's going to challenge the communication just a bit. However, we've also got Mars that's going to be stepping into its retrograde as well. And this is going to slow down not the mental game, but the physical game, right? So there's going to be this switch of the energies where the mental energy comes back online, but the physical energy kind of slows down so that we can review those desires. So let's see what all of that's got in store for you. Right at the beginning of the month on the 1st, we've got a new moon happening at Sagittarius, lighting up your 11th house space. Now, at the same time that we're having this new moon, Aquarius, we're also going to have, of course, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. So while you have this opportunity here to plant your seeds of intention to, begin something new, having this fresh start, because we've got the retrograde Mercury in the same space, what you're going to be doing is you're actually doing more of a review. You're reviewing what you have. You're reviewing the goals and the plans that you already have set up. You're reviewing your friendships. You're reflecting about your social circle, your social connections, your social medias. All things social are actually more in a review. So as you're planting your seeds of intention here, what you're wanting to do is to say, okay, you're being a Sagittarius now, right? You're like, I want to have an expansive view of this. I want to think big about my future aspirations and the goals and the friendships that I want to be connected to, the organizations I want to be connected to achieve these things, because I want to also contribute to a larger good, a larger community. So you're creating this very Sagittarian view of your social and collaborative space, and then you're under review of it. This will also include past friendships. Who's in your current bucket and who have been in your friendship zones before? How many times have you had a similar group dynamic that maybe is resurfacing for you at this time? Because the retrograde piece here offers you an opportunity to reassess how you're showing up in the groups, and if these people or these old stories or these old organizations still have a current place in your life. Now, I think it's also, I don't want to miss out on pointing out that because this has that Mercury retrograde there, it's a great time to reflect on if you still are even in alignment with the old long-term goals that you set up for yourself, or if you've had this evolution and you're like, yeah, thank God I stopped to review this so that I can, revise it, re-edit it, update it so that it's more in alignment with where I want to go. As we get to the 6th, we're going to see that Mars steps into its retrograde in Leo. Now, one of the things to consider here as well is that if you haven't watched my video that I did with Nicholas Palomanakis, where we talked about the Mars in Cancer transit, we also included Mars in Leo and the Mars retrograde, because this is a very long story. We're going to essentially be in it in its entirety until February. So you really want to be informed about how you can work with it. Now, Mars is beginning this retrograde in its 7th house position, okay? So this is going to be a reflective period for you about those conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationships. Literally, this transit is going to kind of urge you to reconsider, first of all, what's driving you in relationships. How are you asserting yourself in your conscious chosen one-on-one relationships, whether those be personal, whether those be professional, whether they be spiritual, right? How are you presenting yourself? How are you going about participating in your relationships? Now, because it is Mars and it's a personal planet, you might feel a little bit less driven at this particular time to really pursue a bunch of new relationships, or, the energy slows down. So you might be like, listen, I'm not even trying to make changes in my current and existing relationships. Instead, I think that what you can be offered, especially as Mars is starting the retrograde in Leo, but will move back into Cancer, is to use this time to just reflect on the past dynamics here. Are there unresolved conflicts? Are there ways that you are maybe over asserting yourself or holding back in your partnerships in some way? So at this particular point, focus on understanding your relationship patterns and what has driven them. Step back for a minute if you've got confrontations or conflicts that have been presenting themselves, and you can use this time to do what Mars needs to do when it's retrograde, and that is to cultivate some patience. Look twice, leap once, right? Because Mars is still Mars. If there's a spot for conflict, Mars might want to take it, but I would encourage you, look twice, leap once, and that'll help you improve how you can show up and balance yourself in your relationships. Now, when we get to the 7th, it's a very busy day. First of all, we've got Venus moving into the vibration of Aquarius, and so it's coming home into your sign, which first of all is lovely. It's a holiday time. It's the end of the year. People are gathering. You're a social sign. So Venus coming into your sign, first of all, it just will enhance your magnetism. You get cute. I love that for you. Your personal charm, your personal attractiveness goes up. So as Venus is here, though, we want to remember that Venus is not a hustler. Venus is a call to me, pull to me, attract to me. So this transit is going to encourage you to, first of all, attract you to you. Are you attractive to you? Where are you in that self-love, self-confidence kind of vibration with, of, and for yourself? Because how you treat yourself, the rest of the world is really going to be treating you as well. Now, also with Venus here, it is in this Aquarian Uranian vibration. So you may be feeling like you want to express yourself physically, maybe a style aesthetic or something like that, very individually. And so you're shopping at a different store than you've ever shopped at before, because it's more in alignment with the value and the qualities that you want to display now. And Venus supports it. If you want to beautify your appearance, you want to change your fashion sense, you want to change your hairstyle, you want to change the living room around, right? Whatever it is, Venus is going to support that freshening up the old wardrobe and the appearance space here. So if you can, while you're experiencing this Venus transit, try to embrace this uniqueness. And then as you embrace it, let new opportunities, let new styles come and call to you. I also like Venus in the first house because if you were looking for something like work, or you had something you wanted to promote, this is a wonderful energy for that. When we get also later in the day on the 7th, we're going to see Neptune come direct in Pisces. And this is lighting up your second house space. So this is all about that money. Now, first of all, Neptune coming direct is going to bring some sense of clarity, right? There's been something that hasn't necessarily been clear in terms of finances, maybe your personal values, things around your self-worth, your possessions. So any confusion, any idealism, whether it's over or under idealism, anything that you've been dealing with really since July, you're going to have an opportunity to just have more clarity around it. And you can also now, I think, not only just having more like clarity in terms of the vision around your financial picture, around your value picture, but it's also a time where you can trust your intuition when it comes to what you're doing with your money. Right? With financial decisions that need to be made. If you need to reassess anything in this financial zone, I think you're able to do that with a lot more clarity. So really focus on aligning your financial practices with your intuition and with your values at this time. And then trust your instincts. As long as you're bringing some education in as well, if you are financially educated, then it's going to be a better position for you to trust your intuition. And if you are not financially educated, this is a great time to not play victim to the idealism of your mind, but instead go out, get financial education so that you really can trust your instincts and your intuition as it comes to bringing financial stability into your life. Busier day this month is the 15th. We've got the full moon happening at 23 degrees of Gemini, lighting up your 5th house space. On the same day, we're going to see Mercury come direct in Sagittarius in that 11th house space. So first and foremost, the full moon here is asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. It's bringing a completion or a pivot to something. And I think that it can also bring a fair amount of clarity around a creative project that you've been working on, or something with your children, something in romance, maybe a hobby that you were putting out there, you were taking a risk on. For those of you who play sports, this could be something in your sporting life as well. And so there's a space here as you pivot. You have gained enough insight into how you express yourself, how to let this area be pleasurable, be easy, be creative in your life, be joyful, that now you can move forward as you pivot to allowing more of that joy, pleasure, and play into your life. And as Mercury stations direct here, communications around your friendships and your social zone, first of all, they're going to improve. Second of all, you may find it easier to articulate your goals, to be more collaborative. And as the combination of these energies are working together, you find that you maybe even have a reconnection at this point, Aquarius, with different social networks that you find that you're like, this really is the best for me. This really is where life gets easier, gets lighter, gets more fun for me, has more pleasure, and is more in alignment with my future goals. Now, when we get to the 21st, the sun is going to shift into the energy of Capricorn, bringing you to the portion of the year where we're going to start to be more introspective. It's the time right before birthday time for you. So you're going to kind of ground a little bit. You're going into the hermit hole to pay attention and to review your year. So the 12th house here is going to bring that focus on introspection, spiritual growth, emotional healing, behavior patterns, addictions, creative projects that are all behind the scenes. So it really is the once a year period for you to kind of retreat, reflect, recharge, rest yourself, and get in touch with your inner world. So if you're finding yourself as the sun makes this shift, feeling more drawn to spending time alone, explore your subconscious. Engage in spiritual practices, rest, rejuvenate yourself. This is a time for you to look over the last year of your life, release old habits, release old patterns, because they're not necessarily the ones that can come forward for you. And also, as you are winding down, to prepare your energy and the soil of your life and your heart for the new beginnings that are going to come with your next solar cycle, okay? So if you do find yourself moving more towards the space of solitude, use it, engage it, embrace it, provided that it's not isolation. If you happen to be a person who struggles with addiction or things like these, where really that thing wants you to get alone and be isolated by yourself so that it can have you, right? If that is not the case, if you are just like, I just need to focus a little bit more on some self-care. I need to come back to my meditation practice. I need to come back to my workout practice, my journaling practice, whatever connects you to that inner self-care, definitely take it on. Now, on the 29th, we see Chiron coming direct in the vibration of Aries, and this will light up your third house space. So as Chiron is stationing direct, first of all, the stationing direct is our signature that Chiron is moving in a position of healing, right? It's not necessarily working from the wound so much. It's moving in a direction of having done some healing. And this healing energy is about communication, learning, relationships with your siblings. Maybe you're teaching something. Maybe you're writing that book, whatever it is, right? Now, during the retrograde, you've been working through the past wounds that have really been related to self-expression, towards feeling like you have maybe been misunderstood, right? These could have been absolute things that came up for you during Chiron's retrograde. You can definitely see where there were challenges that maybe came up with siblings or your neighbors or something like that. So this transit now moving forward supports you in overcoming any kind of communication block that has been the way of you expressing yourself, especially more authentically. And now you can integrate what you've learned and where you have been into where you are now, and you're doing it from a position of being more healed, right? You have greater confidence. You're sharing your ideas. You're sharing your thoughts. So focus on that. Focus on the fact that you have improved your communication in some way, especially in your sibling relationships, if that is a thing. And I would encourage you, if this is about other forms of communication, engage a writing, speaking, journaling mentor to help you continue to grow or to help you get your thoughts out, because communication is really the key to seeing your healing in this particular area. Now, Aquarius, as we are going to close out the month on the 30th, we see the new moon happening in Capricorn, of course, again, in that 12th house space. Now, everything you were like planting your seeds of intention for, that you had to get a bigger view, do more review at that moon at the beginning of the month. Now, as we come to this last moon of the month, this is a powerful opportunity for you to not only plant your seeds of intention, but you're planting your seeds of intention around creating a practical, steady, sturdy, more balanced process in your life to have this emotional healing, to have this spiritual growth, to release those old patterns. And Capricorn's structured energy here is going to encourage the release, but also release via a disciplined approach. And I think it's also fair to say, because it's the 12th house, that Capricorn is asking for a disciplined approach to even how you approach your own inner world. So focus this time on setting goals for what do you do to bring inner peace, mental clarity, spiritual development. You know, if it's a time where you're feeling more drawn to letting go of past burdens, okay, great. What are the new practices that you're going to embrace to continue to support you emotionally to not pick those things back up? What are you going to bring in as a practical tool to help you maintain that spiritual well-being? So at this lunation, I would encourage you to plant your seeds of intention for creating a more balanced, peaceful, engaged inner life, and setting practices like meditation, therapy, reflection, whatever helps you cultivate that deeper connection with your sub or your unconscious in a way that is practical. You can like count the steps of how you're going to do it and how you're going to go about it, okay? All right, my absolutely beautiful Aquarian friends, it's not quite birthday time just yet, so I will see you around the corner in January. But thank you again for traveling 2024 together, and enjoy the rest of what 2024 has to offer. Hello, my absolutely beautiful Pisces friends, and welcome to your horoscope for December of 2024, our last calendar month to travel together, and that is okay. I just want to take a minute to say thank you so much, Pisces, for letting me travel with you for 2024. And even if you are someone who's new here and this is the first time we're meeting, I just want to take a minute to say thank you. And if you're one of the OGs of this channel, thank you very much. I love you. I see you, And I cannot wait to break down December and to talk about what's coming in 2025 as well. So into the month we go, beautiful Pisces friends. Right at the beginning of the month, we want to keep in mind that we're coming in with Mercury being retrograde. So the communication is challenged, okay? It's a little bit off. There's not full clarity of information just yet. And just 6 days in, we will see Mars take a retrograde as well. So the energy does kind of slow down, but that does not heed progress. So let's talk about what that looks like. Right at the beginning of the month on the 1st, we've got a new moon happening in Sagittarius, which lights up the 10th house space for you. So this is awesome. We have 2 new moons this month. So that's something to get excited about because it reeks of fresh start kind of energy. However, at this particular new moon, while you're being put in a position to plant your seeds of intention around your career, your reputation, your public image, right? And you're setting your new intentions around this very public, professional life. And you're doing it like a Sagittarius, very expansive, very optimistic. It encourages you, think big. Right? Think big. What do you really want in your career? What are your career goals? How do you want to be seen in the world? How do you want to be seen and respected in terms of the reputation that you carry in the world? So this is the stuff that you're planting these seeds to blossom. However, because Mercury is retrograde at the same time, instead of actually beginning these seeds and launching them out, what you're doing is you are planting your seeds of intention to revise any current plans, any current strategies, any current goals that you've already got on your table. So this retrograde is actually telling you, it's like shining a big, beautiful light for you to reflect on your career path, reflect on your professional life, reflect on your reputation, and use this lunation as a period to reassess what you want here in a long-term way. Review the past, review your past career decisions. How did they get you where you are now? And also remember that redefine is a great word, as well as refine how you are going about achieving these ambitions. So I would just really encourage you at this particular lunation to use this time to think big about the goals that you do want to achieve and really think big. Think outside of your box, okay? I wouldn't be making the biggest, most immediate career decisions and moves, especially until Mercury turns direct, but reflect on this path because as we get to the end of the month, you'll be able to take a lot more action on that. Now, as we get to the 6th, we are going to see that Mars is going to go retrograde in your 6th house. So it's the 6th at 6. And if you haven't had an opportunity, Pisces, to check out the video I did with Nicholas Palamanakis, where we talked about Mars in Cancer, but we also talked about Mars in Leo and the Mars retrograde, because this is a long story. It's going to take us all the way into February, but essentially May as well of 2025. So it's a long story and you want to be prepared. Now, Mars is going to be lighting up the 6th house space for you of work, health, daily routines. And this includes mental health and wellness, right? How do you talk to yourself? How are you regarding yourself? In terms of your work, like your daily work that you're doing, what is the schedule? What is the routine? How do you structure your day so that it is healthy? Right? It's good for you. What's driving you? Are you driven by fear all day long? So you're making these decisions to hustle, 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 right? What does your routine look like? Because Mars here suggests to us, it's our signal that we're going to have this period of slowing down and needing to really reassess how you approach your responsibilities in this area, including a lot of self-care. So consider here as well that you may experience plenty of delays or Mars frustration in your work environment, in your health routine. And it's more of a signal, not that you need to go harder and fix it more, but to reflect on what are the current habits that are going on in your daily routine. What's happening in this current situation? Is the way you would assert yourself really going to be beneficial? Is it going to serve you long term? Is it productive? These are things we're going to continue to look at as Mars is retrograde. One more thing, I just have to say this because Mars is Mars. So facing backwards, it can get aggressive instead of assertive. So I just want to say when it comes to your work or it comes to workouts or fitness and things like this, if you can avoid pushing too hard because you think if you just go harder, it will make it better, that would be really great. Instead, focus on refining your routine. Find some kind of balance between, what drives you and what you're motivated to do, and addressing if there's some kind of underlying health issue, some kind of underlying work-related issue that's actually putting that drive in you. And that is what needs attention, not necessarily what you're doing, okay? On the 7th, little bit of a busy day, but a pleasurable day nonetheless. We see Venus moving into Aquarius, lighting up your 12th house space. So as Venus comes into this space, she's an attracting energy, attracting in, attracting. So pulling towards you. So in the space of your 12th house, which is solitude, things going on behind the scenes, hidden matters, behavior patterns, spirituality, this all lives in the 12th house space, okay? As Venus comes here, there's going to be more of a gentle and introspective energy that comes to your practices in this arena. So if you're feeling during this transit more pulled towards exploring a deeper spiritual connection or a deeper emotional connection or just more solitude, that's okay. This is a time for introspection as she's traveling here, healing, finding beauty in the solitude, finding beauty in being behind the scenes instead of always being on the stage, right? Venus here is also going to, I think, lend itself to beautiful encouragement around compassion. Compassion about what you find as you're doing your self-reflections. It's interesting. I just have to share this with you, Pisces. I don't know why this is coming up right now, so somebody must need to hear this story. But during a Venus 12th house transit, in my experience, well after I had dated and I had been with somebody, well after, I hadn't really thought about this person at all. And during a Venus 12th house transit, feelings that I had that were like very much so hidden, and they were romantic feelings, rose back to the surface. And it wasn't that I wanted to go run and be with that person, but the story and what was happening in that situation and the way that I felt held, and all of these things came rushing to the surface. And it's not because Venus was retrograde. Venus was just transiting the 12th house. So you may also be looking at old stories, old loves, old values that are coming up in this space and asking you where they align for you now, okay? So focus, if you can, on, first of all, doing a bit of that self-care, rest, rejuvenation, spiritual practices, nurture your inner world, really find the value in it, pay a lot of attention to your dreams, to your intuition, because they may also offer a really nice amount of insights into things that maybe are unresolved in a very emotional way. Now, on the same day, we see Neptune coming direct in your sign in Pisces. So first of all, there's going to be a sense of clarity, coming right into your sign. And it's been working here. It's going to be moving back after it moves out of this direct motion back to that 29 degrees of Pisces, getting ready to head towards Aries. So there is this bringing of clarity to your sense of self, to your own identity, because I think during Neptune's retrograde, especially this last one, there may have been this sense for you, or this feeling of confusion or a lack of direction about the path that you're on, or your image, like how you're presenting yourself. And now, as Neptune's going to start to move forward, I think that you can move forward as well with a little bit more clarity, a little bit better vision of yourself, who you are, how you want to present yourself. This is also a transit that, as it moves forward, we celebrate what we learned during the retrograde. And I hope that one of the things you learned is how enhanced your intuition, your imagination, your willingness to be a helper, your willingness to embrace your authentic creativity have also been given to you as gifts of reflection, right? So now you're feeling more connected to that creative, spiritual, artsy side of yourself. And that is good news, because it puts you in a better position to trust your instincts, to embrace this new portion of your identity, embrace knowing yourself a little bit better, and then express yourself in that way. I absolutely love that for you. It's been a long time. Neptune's been traveling through your sign for a long time. And even though it's your ruling planet, to know thyself is really something amazing. Okay, when we get to the 15th, this is a busy day as well, and it is a different kind of busy. It's not necessarily as fun because it is busy and it is emotional. We've got the 15th, we've got the full moon happening at 23 degrees of Gemini, and this is going to light up your 4th house space. And on the same day, we see Mercury stationing direct in Sagittarius, so again in that 10th house space. Now, the full moon is asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, okay? And this is in your 4th house: home, family, real estate, property, your own emotional foundation internally, that inner emotional foundation. So this is a time where things are coming to completion, and you maybe have some emotional clarity as to why they need to come to completion, and you're pivoting. Right? You're pivoting in the domestic matters. You need to start to go a different direction. So, this could be a time where you're resolving those family issues, or you're making a decision about your living situation or something in your home. But ultimately, what you're going for here is finding some kind of balance between your personal experience in the world as you have been in it, even coming from your roots, and who you are now today. This will also likely help you restore a fair amount of balance to your personal and your professional life as well. Now, as Mercury is turning direct the same day, I think this again plays into that professional life energy. So communication, decisions that you need to be made, there's a lot more clarity about how you're going to move forward in a very public way. And some of the things to think about how this you could also see this playing out is if there had been any misunderstandings, especially at work or around your reputation, the fog is lifting. And this is a thing where it's like, okay, so let's say that you were married and you got divorced, okay? Moving into the I'm divorced now title, taking a different title in public takes time, and it might have been confusing. And now there's a little bit more clarity. If you were single and now you're married, if you were, right? Moving into the new title sometimes takes a minute. So use the full moon to bring the closure, bring the pivot to wherever you need to in your domestic and home related and family matters, and look to bring a little bit more balance on this day between that private life, between your career, and definitely take advantage of the fact that Mercury is direct to communicate what you need to, especially in that reputation and professional zone. On the 21st, the sun is going to shift into Capricorn, lighting up your 11th house. Now, as the sun enters here, it's first of all solstice. So if you are in the north, you are doing some winter solstice. If you are in the south, you are going to be doing some summer solstice. So whichever solstice you're getting on about, happy solstice to you, because it is still the beginning of a new season. And it's the beginning of, it's a birthday for the Capricorn area of your chart. So the sun is shining its light here on friendships, groups, anything social, community involvement, organizations you're connected to, and your long range goals, dreams, and aspirations for yourself, because how you get to those things is very much so in alignment with the goals or with the people that you have associated yourself with. So this is a time to focus on how your social things, social networks, social spaces support the goals that you have for yourself. And you're going to start to find yourself, I think, as this particular season rolls in, feeling more inspired to maybe even take a more active or leadership role in group activities that you're a part of, because you're like, okay, I want some discipline, I want some strategy over here, but I realize I have to lead in the direction of where I want to go if I'm going to achieve my aspirations. And the intensity and the clarity, I think, continues to go up as we get to the new moon in just a few days away from this. But first, on the 29th, we have got Chiron turning direct in the vibration of Aries. Okay, so this lights up your 2nd house space. Now, as Chiron is coming into its direct motion, this is where we see Chiron as the healer. Okay, we're not necessarily looking so much through the wound anymore. Now we're looking at it as the healer. So bringing healing energy to all matters about finance, self-worth, your personal values and what you value, right? Because as Chiron was retrograde, you might have been working through insecurities, really wounded insecurities related to your material world, to, your self-worth, even down to how it made you feel emotionally. And now is the time to apply the lessons that you've learned from that retrograde and move forward with a stronger sense of financial empowerment. I'm ready to be financially educated. Or maybe you spent that time, that retrograde, getting financially educated. A stronger sense of self-worth. Here's how I value myself, and understanding that a bit better. But this transit ultimately encourages you now in its direct motion to embrace what you value, how you value yourself, and to remember you're not working from the wound only anymore. There's a lot of healing that has been done. So focus on bringing that confidence, the confidence of your value, your abilities. Focus on bringing the confidence of you making strong financial decisions that do reflect your personal values really into play. And the last thing I want to say is that Chiron in the healing position reminds us to practice self-compassion, right? Affirm your worthiness. Affirm abundance is in your reach. Affirm that you yourself being alive are beautiful abundance in and of itself. Now, as we're going to close out the month and thus close out the year, we've got the new moon happening in Capricorn, lighting up that 11th house space. So now, no Mercury retrograde to hold you back. Instead, you can plant your seeds of intention, and they're going to be around friendships, community, long-range goals, dreams, aspirations you have for yourself, organizations, social media, any place where there's social things, okay? Because Capricorn's really disciplined energy here is going to be offering support to help you create more of a structured, tangible plan for achieving your goals. What are your goals within your social networks? What are your goals within your group collaborations? The Capricorn season is here to help you because it's going to be the most ideal time that you have all year long, Pisces, to set realistic, achievable goals for how you're going to participate in your friendships, your community, the organizations, your own long-range aspirations. So if you're also feeling that you've looked around and you're like, I actually need to cultivate some new friendships, or I need to align with groups that are more in alignment with my own values, this will be the time to do it. But what I can just say to you is heading out of 2024, using this Capricorn season to the most delicious that it can be for you, set your seeds of intention to not only be in alignment with the right kind of ideals for yourself, but also in ways, Pisces, that you're going to make meaningful contributions to your own community, how you're going to work on building supportive networks, right? Focus on goals that bring that kind of long-term fulfillment. And I think that you find yourself in this season doing a lot of really, really good work. All right, my beautiful Pisces friends, enjoy the rest of 2024 and look forward to your forecast coming for 2025 with 5 different brilliant astrologers, each an expert in their own area, walking you through completely every area of 2025.